I stood frozen as my father threw words at him. My legs were trembling. Still, I tried to look brave, even though my trembling legs and shaky voice already sold me out. I shivered not from cold, but from betrayal, from fear, from rage. You will marry Alpha Andrew, that's final. My father's voice echoed like a death sentence across the silent hall. I couldn't breathe. I won't. My voice cracked. The wolves standing along the walls, the council, the warriors, even my own blood relatives, watched silently as my world burned. No one spoke. No one defended me. I took in a deep breath and then lifted my chin high enough to lock eye contact with my dad. He cheated on me, Father. He slept with my cousin. Father's gaze darkened, his jaw clenched. He tightened his fist. I could tell he was one step away from slapping me. He looked strong and firm like a true alpha, standing at the top of the stairs, staring down at me like I was a disobedient pup. You will marry him, Ava, he growled, because this is not about you. My legs went weak. I staggered a bit. Tears gathered in my eyes as his words particularly felt like a sharp arrow was been pierced into my heart. Not about me. You're sacrificing me for a political alliance. I'm protecting this pack. At the cost of your daughter. He turned his head slightly, refusing to meet my eyes. My mother stood behind him, silent as always. She wouldn't save me. She never had. You are the future, Luna. This is your duty. His voice was steel. Duty? I laughed bitterly, staring at him with disbelief. He marked another father. He claimed my cousin, and you expect me to stand beside him like nothing happened? A muscle ticked in his jaw. I have to choose between your happiness and the safety of everyone in the pack. You can live with a cheating husband, but if you don't marry him, none of us will survive. Tears threatened to drop, but I forced myself not to cry. I bit my lips tightly, giving myself a different kind of pain than what I felt in my heart. I wouldn't cry. Not in front of him. Not in front of them. I am your daughter. You are an alpha's daughter. That comes first. I turned around, looking at everyone staring at me with pity, desperate for anyone to speak up for me. No one did. Cowards. Every last one of them. Even my own blood. My voice shook. I won't marry him. My father's growled loudly. Everywhere shook. I could feel his anger. I trembled, but I still wouldn't allow myself to be tied to a loveless marriage. So I stood strong and bold against him. Your choice is irrelevant, he said coldly. The ceremony will take place at moonrise. I gasped. No. His golden eyes flickered as his wolf rose within him, dominating the air. You are dismissed. Dismissed, like a servant, a worthless daughter. My body moved on instinct. I turned and ran, not caring where. I shoved past warriors, ignoring their shocked expressions. My mother's voice called weakly after me once. I didn't look back. I wouldn't look back. I don't remember how long I ran. My bare feet bled as I fled past the village, through the forest, past the river where I used to play as a child. My tears blurred the path, my lungs burned. My wolf inside me howled, confused, frightened, betrayed. I was supposed to be strong. I was supposed to be Luna, but I was nothing. Just a daughter no one wanted. Just a pawn to be traded. I ran until I couldn't. I collapsed beside a large oak tree, gasping, sobbing, broken. The moon rose slowly, casting his light on me. I kept wiping my tears, but it didn't stop flowing. My mind started thinking of several things. I thought of Andrew's smug smile, of my cousin's cruel laugh, of my father's cold command. And something inside me cracked. I stood. I refused to let them own me. Not tonight. Not ever. That's when I heard it. Music. Distant. Faint. But real. It drifted through the forest like a promise. I followed. Branches scraped my skin. Rocks dug into my heels, but I didn't care. The sound grew louder as I climbed the ridge. Then I saw lanterns glowing between the trees. It looked beautiful. I was drawn to it, so I moved closer. Wolves in masks laughed and danced under the moonlight. It was a mask party. My heart pounded. Not from fear, but something stranger. Something. Electric. I stepped closer, the pulse of drums matching my heartbeat. At the edge of the clearing, a woman approached silently, holding out a golden mask without a word. I hesitated. Then I took it. I tied the mask over my tear-streaked face, the cool metal pressing against my skin. The moment it settled, I felt weightless. No one here knew who I was. No one knows Ava Nightwind. No one knows I'm the Alpha's disappointment, just another masked face in the night. I stepped into the clearing. Music swirled around me, lifting me, pulling me into its rhythm. I walked slowly, my body aching, but my heart strangely quiet. For the first time in days, no one watched me with judgment. No one whispered behind my back. Here I could breathe. I could be nothing. Or someone else. I closed my eyes, letting the drums vibrate through my bones. When I opened them, he was there. Across the clearing, standing perfectly still amidst the moving crowd, was a man. Tall, broad-shouldered, cloaked in black, a mask covered half his face, but his eyes burned through the shadows, silver like the moon itself. My wolf stirred sharply inside me, rising so suddenly it stole my breath. I froze. Those eyes, I couldn't look away. Neither could he. The world faded. The music, the dancers, the night itself. Only his gaze remained. My heart raced. My breath caught. Every instinct inside me screamed danger, but I didn't turn away. I stepped forward. One step, then another. His head tilted slightly, curious. His aura radiated power, authority, something primal and dangerous. But I wasn't afraid. I should have been, but instead I felt safe? No, seen. For the first time in my life, we stood locked in that silent moment beneath the full moon. I felt the shift. My life, splintering in ways I couldn't understand. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. I don't know what I was feeling, but it felt like fate. It was barely noon when they dragged me into the pack house. The door was slammed shut behind me. Without pity, one of the guards pushed me hardly on the floor. I stumbled and then fall without help. A tiny cry escaped my lips, but it didn't change anything. They didn't care if I was hurt or not. After all, they were only following orders. I slowly looked ahead. Then I saw him, my father, standing at the bottom of the stairs. His arms was crossed as he glared at him. His eyes was filled with anger. I just knew he wouldn't go easy on me. Next to him stood my mother. She said nothing. She didn't even look at me. They didn't ask where I had been. They didn't ask why I had run. They didn't need to. They already knew. I should take your name away from you, my father said in a low, angry voice that felt like thunder shaking the air. I said nothing. I should mark you as a traitor, he growled. You ran from this pack, from your duty. On the night of your own engagement, you humiliated us. Still, I kept quiet. My throat hurt from holding back tears, but I refused to cry in front of him. My father stepped forward. His power pushed down on me like a mountain. It was meant to scare me. I stood tall. You think this is a game? His voice was sharper now. You're the daughter of an alpha, Ava. Your blood makes you Luna whether you want it or not. You will marry Alpha Andrew as planned. No, my voice shook, but I meant it. The slap came so fast I didn't even see it coming. His hand struck my cheek hard. My head snapped to the side. It didn't hurt physically. What hurt was knowing he did it. My own father, the man who used to call me his little moon, the man who once said I was his pride. Now I was nothing but a burden to him. You've embarrassed your family, he said, his voice cold. From now until your wedding day, you will be locked in your room. No leaving. No training. No visitors except Andrew. Do you understand me? I looked up at him with tears in my eyes, but no fear in my heart. I hate you. He didn't even blink. His face was stone. Guards, he said calmly. Take her to her room. Lock the door. The bedroom that used to feel safe now felt like a cage. The windows were barred with heavy iron, strengthened by spells I couldn't break. The door was locked from the outside. And to make sure I wouldn't shift into my wolf form, they put suppressants in my food. I could feel the dullness inside me. My wolf, my other half, was silent now, trapped just like me. I paced the small room over and over. Time felt slow, like the days were moving through thick mud. I lost track of how many sunrises I watched through those bars. I counted every moon that passed. I scratched marks into the wooden floor with a spoon I had hidden, just so I could feel like I controlled something. Once, I cried. Only once. After that, I promised myself they would never see me break again. But then, on the fourth day, the door creaked open, and he walked in. Andrew, my so-called fiancé. I felt sick just looking at him. He looked like he always did, tall, broad, handsome. His golden hair was pushed back neatly. His green eyes, the same ones I once thought were pretty, now made my skin crawl. Ava, he said softly, as if nothing had happened. He walked toward me like we were lovers, not enemies. You look beautiful, even when you're angry. Get out. My voice was cold. He smiled. Still so feisty. I like that. I backed away until I hit the wall. You don't belong here. He laughed quietly. I have every right to be here. You're my fiancé. He leaned against the desk in my room, too comfortable. Soon you'll be my Luna. I'd rather die, he chuckled. You're dramatic. I've missed that about you. You didn't miss me. You were too busy sleeping with my cousin. He didn't deny it. He didn't even flinch. It was a mistake. You marked her. Temporary, he said simply. I'll break it. Your father is handling it. Once it's done, you'll be mine, like you're supposed to be. My hands curled into fists. I wanted to hit him. You disgust me. His face changed slightly. His green eyes narrowed as he tilted his head. Hate me all you want, Ava, but once you're mine, you'll learn your place. I couldn't speak. Rage burned in my throat. I turned my back to him, but he kept talking. You'll marry me. You don't have a choice. Then the door clicked shut behind him as he left. I collapsed to my knees, and I broke. 3 weeks passed, 3 long, silent weeks. I scratched at the floor until my fingers bled. I watched the moon rise and fall. I cried until my tears ran dry. My wolf inside me was silent, trapped, just like me. I was losing my mind. Then one night, something inside me snapped. I stared at the window, at the full moon glowing just beyond the iron bars. I couldn't do this anymore. I had to try. I shoved the desk under the window, climbed up. My hands shook as I gripped the iron bars. They wouldn't move, but I didn't stop. I kicked, I scraped, I used my spoon to pry at the screws holding the bars. Finally, after what felt like forever, one of the bars loosened. It was enough. I pushed hard. The bar snapped. I climbed through, and I jumped, but I landed badly. Pain shot through my leg as I crashed onto the ground. I tried to scream, but everything went black. I woke up in a white room, bright, cold, empty. I smelled healing herbs. I tried to sit up, but gasped in pain. Don't move, said a soft voice. I looked up. The healer stood next to my bed. You're in the Crescent Moon Medical Center, she said gently. I turned my head slowly. I heard footsteps, voices. Then the curtain pulled back. My heart stopped. My father, my mother, Andrew, and the healer. I wanted to hide. I tried to turn away, but my father stepped closer. What were you thinking? He barked. I'd rather break my legs than marry him, I whispered. Andrew scoffed. Still dramatic, I looked at him with pure hatred. The healer stepped forward carefully. Alpha, Beta, I need to speak. They all looked at her. Her face was pale, nervous. There's news. I frowned. She took a deep breath. Lady Ava is pregnant. Silence. Complete silence. I felt like I couldn't breathe. No, I whispered. That's impossible. Pregnant? My mother's voice shook. My father's face went blank. His power filled the room like a coming storm. Andrew's eyes widened, then his face twisted in disgust. Whose? He hissed. My voice cracked. I don't know. My father's fists shook at his sides. You're carrying a stranger's pup? Tears slid down my cheeks as I turned my face toward the wall. The healer spoke softly. She's about 5 weeks along. The baby is healthy. No one spoke. I didn't move. Andrew backed away slowly, shaking his head. My father's anger was a living thing in the room, but I felt nothing. I already knew. Deep down, I already knew whose child it was, the masked stranger, the one night I let myself feel free. And now that freedom had become a chain, I could never escape. The ride back home was painfully quiet. No one said a word. My father sat in the front beside the driver. My mother sat quietly beside him while I sat alone in the back seat. My legs shook, and my hands trembled. I knew the silence wouldn't last. I knew once we got home, they wouldn't go easy on me. When the gates of the Crescent Moon Pack opened, I felt my stomach twist. The pack house stood tall ahead, cold and unwelcoming. Warriors stood outside, their eyes filled with confusion and disappointment as they watched us drive past. They all knew. Everyone knew. I was carrying a stranger's child. The car stopped. I sat frozen. All I wished for at that moment was to vanish. But I couldn't. I followed my parents as they stepped out of the car. When we entered the main hall of the pack house, my father stopped suddenly. I looked up. Alpha Andrew was standing there, arms crossed, his face full of anger and pride. Then something I never expected happened. My father, the great Alpha I once admired, slowly fell to his knees in front of Andrew. No, I whispered in shock. Alpha Andrew, please, my father said softly. Forgive us. My chest burned, my body trembled with anger. My father, my Alpha, was begging for mercy from the very man who had betrayed me. Andrew looked down at my father with cold glare. His voice was sharp and filled with anger. She has stained my name. She has brought shame to me and my entire pack. I couldn't take it. How dare you? I shouted, stepping forward. You're talking about betrayal? You betrayed me first. You cheated on me with my cousin. Don't pretend to be the victim here. Before I could say another word, pain exploded across my face. My father had slapped me, hard. My head spun, my cheek burned. Tears stung my eyes as I stared at him, shocked, shaking. He didn't even look at me. Instead, he turned back to Andrew and bowed his head lower. I apologize for my daughter's disrespect, Alpha Andrew. Andrew sneered. I don't care for your apologies. My father's shoulders slumped. Andrew's next words crushed whatever hope I had left. The alliance is over. I'm calling off the marriage. The hall fell silent. I thought I should feel relief. But then Andrew's voice grew darker. And worse, he said coldly. I'm bringing my army to your gates. Soon, my men will take over this pack. You'll lose everything. No, my mother whispered. My father's body trembled. Please, please, Alpha Andrew, don't destroy us. Andrew stared at him for a long, cruel moment. Then he said, There is one condition. My father looked up quickly, desperate. Anything. Andrew's eyes flicked to me, full of disgust. Make her get rid of the pup. I froze. What? My father breathed. Andrew's voice didn't waver. If she ends the pregnancy, I'll spare your pack. That's the only way. My heart stopped. I shook my head. No. Ava, my father started. No, I screamed, my voice breaking. You want me to kill my child? My baby? You have no choice, my father said, his voice cold and tired. You've ruined everything. How could you even think that? I cried. This is your grandchild. He stepped toward me, his face stone. That child is the reason this pack is about to fall. No, it's not the baby's fault. How could you think of killing an innocent life? Enough. I flinched at the roar of his voice. You will do as I say. I won't, I whispered as tears rolled down my cheeks. I won't kill my child. My father stared at me for a long, painful moment. Then his voice came, quiet but deadly. If you refuse, you are no longer my daughter, I gasped. You will no longer be Luna of this pack. My body trembled. You will be banished forever. Silence filled the room. Even Andrew said nothing. I froze. The world suddenly paused. My heart thundered. My lips shook, but I couldn't say a word. I only stared at him in disbelief. I'm your daughter, I whispered. Your blood. His face didn't change. I looked at my mother. She looked away. The pain in my chest was unbearable. I would rather be cast out than murder my child, I said softly, brokenly. My father gave one sharp nod. Then so be it. They didn't let me pack anything. No clothes, no money, no food. They dragged me to the gates like a criminal, and then they pushed me out. The gates slammed shut behind me. I stood there for a long time, staring at the iron doors of the home I had known all my life. My heart felt like it had been ripped from my chest. And then I walked. I didn't know where I was going. I walked until my feet hurt, until my skin burned from the sun, until my legs shook from weakness. I was alone, pregnant, banished. I kept walking. I walked aimlessly through the streets where no one knew me. No one cared about the broken girl walking past them. Then, as I crossed a busy road, I felt it. A scent, a familiar scent. Pine, and something darker. My wolf stirred weakly inside me. No, it couldn't be. I looked around wildly. Then I saw him, a tall man walking ahead of me. His build, it was just like the stranger. His shoulders, his walk. Even the way he held himself. My heart jumped. I ran forward, pushing past people. Hey, I shouted. Wait, please. He didn't turn. Please, stop. His scent hit me stronger now. I knew it. I remembered it from that night. It was him. It had to be. Tears filled my eyes. Please, don't go. But he didn't hear me. He reached a black car, opened the door. I screamed his name, except I didn't know it. Wait. He drove off. I ran after the car, my legs weak, my body aching. Please. I pushed myself, but my body gave up. My knees buckled. I fell onto the hard road. My skin scraped against the gravel. Pain shot through my palms and knees as blood smeared the ground. I lay there, crying, tears mixed with blood on the street. I reached out weakly in the direction the car had gone. He was gone. The stranger, my child's father. And once again, I was completely alone. I had been walking for 2 days, 48 hours. No sleep, no food, no warmth, no hope. My clothes were torn, my feet were bleeding, my lips were cracked, my hair hung in dirty, tangled strands. Every step I took felt like my body was been shattered. I needed to rest, but no place to crash. Nowhere that was safe. Nowhere that would want me. I looked like a ghost. No, worse. I looked like something people would run from. A mad woman. A lost animal. I tried to call Mia. She was from another pack. We'd been friends since childhood. The phone rang once, twice. Then it stopped. No answer. I called again. This time, the line connected. I felt my heart rise for a second. Mia, please, it's me, Ava, I whispered, tears in my throat. I need help. I have nowhere to go. There was a pause. Then her voice came, cold and distant. Ava, I'm sorry, I can't speak to you. What? Why? I asked desperately. You don't know, she said softly. Your father and Alpha Andrew made a decree. Any pack that helps you will be seen as an enemy. They said you betrayed the alliance, that you're dangerous. No, Mia, please believe me. I didn't do anything wrong. Please help me. I'm pregnant and... The call ended. I froze. Mia was someone I thought wouldn't turn her back on me, but she just hung up on me. She has left me just like the others. I kept walking. The city lights blurred through my tears. Cars passed by. People walked fast and avoided my eyes. No one wanted to see the girl with nothing. The girl who looked like pain. My knees suddenly went numb. I collapsed on the floor for a moment, my breathing ragged, my belly ached, my pup, my sweet innocent child, was still inside me, still holding on. I touched my belly gently and whispered, I will protect you at all cost, I promise. But I wasn't sure if I would be able to keep my promise. The hunger was unbearable, my body ached. I haven't eaten in 2 days. My body was slowly losing it and my vision blurry. Then I saw it, a small food store on the corner. The lights were still on, the door was slightly open. I didn't want to steal, but I had no choice. I sneaked in slightly. The scent of food filled the atmosphere. My wolf whimpered in hunger. Just then I found a sandwich on the counter. It has already been half-eaten, but that didn't stop me. I grabbed it and ate it like an animal. Bread, meat, anything. I didn't care. My hands shook as her shoved the food into my mouth, my heart pounding, my eyes scanning every corner in case I got caught. Then I heard the voice. Hey! I turned. The store owner, an older human man, stood in the doorway, his face twisted in anger. What the hell do you think you're doing? He yelled. I'm sorry, I said quickly, my mouth full. I was hungry. Please, I'll go. But he didn't listen. He ran toward me and shoved me hard. I crashed into the shelf, knocking down cans and bottles. You filthy thief, he roared, kicking me in the side. I screamed, curling up to protect my belly. Please, stop, I'm pregnant, I sobbed. He didn't stop. He slapped me, punched me, called me names I didn't understand. I tried to fight back, but I was too weak. My limbs were heavy, my body was broken. Finally, he dragged me out of his store and threw me into the street. Don't come back, you disgusting mutt. I lay on the cold sidewalk, shivering. People stared. Some walked faster. Others crossed the street. No one helped. Then, as if things couldn't get worse, the sky broke open. Rain poured down in thick, cold sheets. I stood up slowly and stumbled away. I knocked on doors. I begged people in alleys. Please, just for one night. I'll leave tomorrow. Just let me sit. They all slammed their doors. She's crazy. She's on drugs. Don't let her near the kids. I wasn't human enough for them. I wasn't wolf enough for my own kind. I was nothing. Eventually, I found a pile of trash in a small alley behind a building. It stank. There were rats, broken glass, rotten food, but no one chased me from there. So I laid down in the filth, curled up in a ball, and fainted. When I woke, I wasn't human anymore. I had shifted in my sleep. My wolf form had taken over because my human body was too weak, too broken to carry the weight anymore. I lay there, a gray, muddy-furred creature with barely enough strength to move. And I wasn't alone. A cage surrounded me, bars of steel. Humans gathered around it, pointing and whispering. Is it a dog? No, look at the eyes. It's wild. Must have escaped from a lab. One man snapped a picture. Another threw a stone to see if I'd react. I wanted to run. I wanted to howl, but my body refused. Then I heard them. Voices. 2 men walked toward me, holding tools and bags. This is the one of them said. Strong teeth, aggressive eyes, dangerous. They opened the cage door. My wolf growled weakly, backing into a corner. Calm it down, one of them muttered. The other man held up a syringe. Once we inject her with this, she'll be powerless. Then we can remove her fangs and claws. She'll be harmless, just another freak to show off." "No, don't," I tried to say, but my voice came out as a whimper. They didn't listen. The needle plunged into my neck. I screamed. The pain was like fire exploding through every nerve in my body. My back arched. My paws kicked helplessly against the cage. I could feel something entering my blood, burning it, changing it, weakening me. It was worse than anything I'd ever felt, worse than betrayal, worse than starvation. "Stop!" I tried again. "Please, you're hurting my baby." But they couldn't hear me, or they didn't care. They laughed. One of them pulled out a plier. "Let's get those pretty teeth." I was trembling. My eyes could barely register any vision. My body paralyzed, and my pup, my sweet little baby, she was so scared. I felt her fear, her tiny heartbeat racing. Then, bang! The door flew open. The men turned, startled, and standing there was Andrew. He looked perfect, clean, powerful, and full of pride. "I'll take her," he said calmly. "She's yours?" one of the men asked. Andrew pulled out a thick envelope and tossed it onto the table. "She's my pet." "No, don't," I tried to cry. "Don't let him." But my voice was gone. My body wouldn't move. They nodded, pleased. "All yours, sir. She's been injected. She won't cause trouble." Andrew walked over to the cage. He crouched down, his cold blue eyes meeting mine. "Look at you," he whispered. "So pathetic, so easy to break." I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. Everything was spinning around me. I was shutting down. He reached through the bars and pat my head gently, but I knew he was mocking me. "I warned you, didn't I?" he said softly. "But now, you're mine again." I closed my eyes and let the darkness take me. I don't know how many days had passed. Everything was blurry and unclear. The drug Andrew gave me had done something terrible. I was stuck in my wolf form. I couldn't change back. My body felt weak, like something inside me had broken. I tried to shift. I tried so many times, but nothing worked. It scared me. What if I could never turn human again? What if I was stuck like this forever? But then, there was Damien. Yes, his name was Damien. That was the first thing he told me after he brought me into his home. "My name is Damien," he said. "You're safe now." He doesn't remember me as the girl from the night before, the same one he had touched, kissed, entered. The same girl who now lay on his couch, wrapped in blankets, unable to speak. He thought I was just a wolf, a lone one, probably lost, maybe abandoned. But still, he was kind. More kind than I expected from anyone. He cleaned the cuts on my body. He washed the blood off my fur. He made a bed for me in a soft corner of his house. He even laid down near me some nights just so I wouldn't feel alone. He brought me food, real food, cooked meat, fresh water. He fed me by hand sometimes when I couldn't lift my head. And every day he talked to me, not like I was a pet, but like I was a friend. "I don't know why I tell you these things," he whispered softly. "Maybe it's easier to speak when no one talks back." He sat beside me, leaned back on the wall, and stared at the ceiling. He told me things I never expected someone like him to say. Everyone one looks up to me as their alpha, but being a leader comes with so many responsibilities. I could see pain in his eyes when he spoke. As the alpha, I was raised with the knowledge that my life belongs to the pack. The food I eat, the clothes I wear, the people I surround myself with, it must represent the pack. And then he continued, "Sometimes I wish I wasn't part of this world. I love my people, but sometimes I wish I could live my own life. It's hard putting the weight of the whole pack on just my shoulders." He thought I didn't understand. He thought I was just a wolf who doesn't know what it felt like to be in a world where your whole life is dictated. But I understood every word, because I'm an alpha daughter too. I was been forced to marry a man I hate just to save the pack, my freedom. My life, my whole existence had been according to the wishes of the entire pack. But I couldn't tell him. So I just listened. Sometimes when his voice grew quiet, I'd rest my head gently on his leg. He'd freeze at first, surprised. Then he'd place his hand on my head and stroke behind my ears. Soft, gentle, it felt like comfort. Something I hadn't felt in so long. And that comfort became something else. Something deeper, something warmer. I started waiting for his footsteps in the hall. I started listening for the sound of his voice. I started watching the way he looked out the window when he thought no one was there. I started falling in love. And that scared me more than anything. Because how could I fall for someone who didn't even know who I truly was? Still, every time he came close, my heart beat faster. Every time he touched my fur, I closed my eyes and wished I could speak. I wanted to say, "I'm her. I'm the girl. I remember everything. I never forgot your touch." But I couldn't. Not yet. Then one night, something changed. I woke up in the middle of the night, panting, sweating, even in my wolf form. I could feel something burning inside me. Not pain, not the drug, something else. Power. I stood on all fours, shaking. Then my body shifted, slowly, bone by bone, muscle by muscle, and then I was human again. I fell to the floor, naked and crying. But I was me again, finally. I couldn't believe it. I laughed and cried at the same time. "I'm back," I whispered. "I can talk again. I can tell him." I rushed to the wardrobe in Damien's room, put on his shirt, which was oversized for me. My belly was already beginning to show, just a little. I rested my hand on it. "He needs to know about you too," I whispered to my child. "He'll understand. He has to." I brushed my hair, wiped my tears, and took a deep breath. Then I stepped into the hallway. I searched every room, calling softly. "Damien, are you there?" I couldn't wait to see his face. I couldn't wait to see the shock, the smile, the way his eyes would light up when he saw it was me. But then I heard voices. I stopped near his office door. It was open a crack. I stepped closer and listened. There was another man inside with Damien. Their voices were low, serious. "I heard a rumor," the man said. "There's a banished wolf on the loose, abandoned by her pack. You know what that means. Trouble." I froze. My heart started beating faster. The man continued, "You took in a wolf, didn't you? What if it's her?" There was silence for a moment. Then Damien said, "That's not possible. The wolf I have can't even shift. It's just a broken stray, a new one, not the banished wolf." Tears filled my eyes. I took a step back. My chest was tight. "But," the man pushed, "what if it is her? What if you're harboring the very wolf the council ordered us to watch for?" More silence. I held my breath. Then Damien said, "Then I'll return her to where she came from." I broke. Right there. A sound escaped my lips, but I covered my mouth before anyone heard. I ran. Back to the room. Tears spilling down my cheeks. I collapsed to the floor. I looked at my hands, my face, my body. Then I shifted. Back into a wolf. "I can't let him know," I whispered in my heart. "He'll leave me. He'll hate me. He'll send me back." I curled into a ball, shaking. He can never find out. He could never know that I was her. The banished one, the girl he slept with, the girl who had fallen in love with him. I buried my face in my paws and cried. Again, like a child, like someone completely alone in the world. But back in the office, Damien was still talking. He waited for a moment after his last words. Then he said softly, "But..." The other man looked at him, confused. Damien stood and walked to the window. His face was unreadable. "I've grown to like her," he said. "This wolf, her presence, the way she listens, the way she just exists." The other man frowned. "But if it's the banished one..." Damien turned sharply. His voice was firm now, powerful. "Who dares stand against our pack?" he asked. "I protect what I choose to protect, and I abandon what I choose to abandon." Silence. The man's face squeezed, but... He paused, because Damien's presence filled the room like thunder. "I didn't ask for your opinion," he added. "This conversation is over." Then he walked out. Back in my room, I didn't know any of that. I just lay there, broken all over again, believing I had already lost him, that the man I was falling in love with would never want the real me. Then I knew I had to leave for good. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about everything Damien said. A sharp pain struck my heart any time his words rang in my head. "Then I'll return her to where she came from." The more I think about it, the more it hurts, like something was stabbing my heart. The pain of being abandoned by the person you most felt safe with hurts more than I could ever imagined. I sank into the bed, hugging the pillow tightly. I didn't even realize when I was back to my human form again. I curled myself on the bed. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't risk being seen that way. All I could do was cry silently, my tears soaking into Damien's blanket. My body trembling. I laid there, broken, but human again. After a while, I stood in front of the mirror, and I hated what I saw. My reflection was nothing like the girl I used to be, the admired alpha's daughter. Now I'm just a scramble of what I used to be. My hair was tangled, my face pale, and my eyes swollen from tears. I stared at my belly, wondering what kind of life I could give this child. My heart shattered at the thought. I placed both hands there, pressing gently against the little life growing inside me. My baby. Damien's baby. I sobbed quietly. I'm sorry, I whispered silently. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I placed my hands on my belly softly as I broke even more, collapsed on the floor in tears. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for not giving you a better life. You can't get your father's love, and it's all my fault. I rested my back against the wall, wiping off my tears. I promise, I continued with a shaky voice. I promise I'll find a way. One day you will meet him. Forgive me because I can't let you meet him now. I'm scared he won't accept the both of us. I stayed still for a while until I finally made up my mind. For mine and my child's safety, I had to leave. I forced myself up. I was done feeling broken. I had nothing, so I just turned to leave empty like I came. As I walked to the door, memories came flooding back. Damien's soft laugh when he talked to me. The way he stroked my fur, gentle and patient. The ways his voice trembled when he spoke about his pain. My heart sank. I hadn't known him for too long, but in this short period, I saw how he truly cared for me. Sometimes I felt he needed me, but deep down, I knew I needed him more. How could I raise our child alone? How could I do all this without him by my side? But now I don't have a choice. A tear slid down my cheek as I pulled the door open slowly. I looked back at the room for the last time. Goodbye, Damien, I whispered softly with a cracking voice. And then I stepped into the hallway. I tiptoed through the house, trying not to make a sound. It was a huge mansion. I remember walking through, alongside Damien, through the mansion, but it still wasn't enough to master every piece of the mansion. I spent hours trying to find my way out, but only end up reaching dead ends. Finally, I saw an entrance that looked familiar. I knew it led to an exit. My heart leaped in joy, but suddenly I heard a deep voice echoed from behind. Sure, we can arrange the meeting anytime. My whole body froze. That voice. No, not here. Not him. It was Andrew. My breath caught in my throat. My chest rose and fell quickly as panic clawed at me. What in the world is he doing here again? I whispered to myself, my voice trembling. I ran quickly. I needed to find a different exit. Somewhere. Andrew wouldn't find me. I turned quickly, trying to run through another hallway, but then I saw two maids approaching. They were too involved in their conversations. They didn't see me running like a stray puppy. My heart jumped into my throat. If they saw me like this, in my human form, they would immediately tell Damien, and he wouldn't have second thoughts in handing me over to Andrew or the authorities. No, I whispered desperately, my chest heaving. Andrew was approaching from one side of the hall and two maids from the other, and I just stood at the middle, frozen and confused. My heart raced like it would jump out of my chest. Each road seemed like a dead end. I was stuck. Just then, my eyes caught a door that was slightly opened. Without thinking, I pushed it open and slipped inside, shutting it softly behind me. I sighed deeply. For a moment, I felt deep relief. I finally noticed my heavy chest. I clutched it tightly, trying to calm my breath. But just when I thought I was safe, I saw the maids were coming to that exact room. I panicked, my heart racing faster. They stopped right outside the door and then knocked slightly. Oh, God, I muttered under my breath. I scanned the room desperately, my eyes searching for any safe spot to hide. Nowhere seemed safe enough until I noticed the other door in the room. Without hesitation, I ran in. I was just in time before the maids pushed the door open, assuming the room was empty. I closed my mouth tightly. I held my breath. At that moment, I felt I could be caught if I breathed. My heart pounded in my ears. And then, a voice. Deep, strong, angry. Who are you? I froze. My stomach dropped. No. I turned slowly, my eyes widened as I saw the figure who sat in a bathtub. And worse, I was in a bathroom. I froze as I saw the naked figure before me. Damien. I panicked. I wanted to disappear. I knew I had to leave, but the moment I turned, I lost my balance on the floor, which was slippery with water. It happened so fast. I cried out as I lost balance. I crashed, and before I knew what was happening, I had tripped into his bathtub. Water splashed against the air. Instinctively, he rushed towards me, wrapped his arms around my waist, pulling me deeper into the bath. I gasped. My hands fell on his bare chest. I froze as soon as my eyes locked on his. I had never seen this look on his eyes since my stay with him. He always looked at me with care, love, and sometimes pity. But now, all I saw in his eyes was anger. He was in the tub, naked. His body glistened with water. His broad chest, his strong arms, his dark, unreadable eyes. I froze completely. He froze too. We both stared at each other in absolute shock. My mouth opened, but no words came out. My heart thundered so loud I thought it might burst. I tried to scramble out, slipping against the wet porcelain, but before I could escape, his hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. Strong, firm. I gasped, my body trembling as his grip held me in place. Water dripped down his jawline, his lips parting slightly in confusion. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us was heavy, too heavy, and then it hit me. The closeness. The way our bodies pressed dangerously close in the small tub. The way his hand tightened around mine, refusing to let me go. Damien's eyes darkened as he looked at me, not like the wolf he had cared for, but like a stranger who had suddenly appeared in his home. A part of me wished he would recognize me in my human form, but there was nothing. He just looked at me like I was a stranger, probably someone who was out to harm him. He grabbed me tightly that I felt a sharp pain in my wrist. My body shook. I wanted to pull away. He didn't let me. And so, for one long, painful moment, we stayed like that. Frozen. The way Damien stared at me, I knew everything had changed. At that moment, he wasn't seeing the wolf he truly cared for. He didn't see the fragile creature he once kept safe. He saw a stranger, an intruder, a threat. He tightened his grip on my wrist. I let out a tiny scream, but he didn't stop. His voice was sharp and hard. "Who are you? How did you get here?" I wanted to speak, but I couldn't. I just sat there, trembling in fear. My lips parted, but no words came out. His dark stare made it even more difficult to defend myself. His jaw was clenched tightly as water dripped from his wet hair. His chest rose and fell fast. His eyes were burning into me with suspicion. He didn't show any sign of recognition or softness. "I asked you a question," he growled. His voice echoed in the small bathroom. "Who sent you?" I felt my heart shattering. I had endured so much pain and suffering just to keep his child. The least he could have done was to recognize the woman he spent the night with. But he only saw me as nothing but his enemy. I tried to pull back. His grip was too strong. The pain shot up my arm. My eyes watered. I stammered. I was stuck. What could I have said at that moment? If I told him I was the wolf, he would hand me over to my father immediately. I would fall back into Andrew's trap. I would lose everything. Damien dragged me out of the bathtub and threw a towel at me. His face was stone cold. "Guards!" he roared. Within seconds, 2 men barged into the bathroom. Their eyes widened at the sight of me, a strange girl dripping wet in their Alpha's chambers. "Take her," Damien ordered. His voice was merciless. "Alpha, who is she?" one of the men asked. "An intruder," Damien snapped. "Lock her up. Interrogate her. I want answers by dawn." My knees shook. My heart pounded in fear. There was no escape route for me. I couldn't scream or fight back. That would have made everything worse. They could even hurt my child, and I won't let that. The guards grabbed me tightly as they dragged me out without pity. I looked back at Damien, just once, hoping he would see me, hoping something in his heart would recognize me. But he didn't. He just turned away. That cut deeper than the grip of the guards. They threw me into a dark room. The weight of the chains wrapped around me weighed heavily on me. My body burns from the extreme heat that filled the air. I gasped for breath, struggling not to suffocate. Not long after, the door slammed open. A man stepped in. He was tall, broad, and carried a whip in his hand. His eyes were sharp with cruelty. His mouth twisted into a smirk the moment he saw me. It was the general. "So," he said, his voice slow and dangerous, "this is the little spy." "I'm not," I said weakly, but before I could continue, his whip cut deep into my skin. "Silence," he barked. His eyes gleamed with hatred. "You will speak only when I demand it. Who sent you here? Was it the enemy pack?" "I'm not a spy," I whispered. The whip lashed across my arm. Pain burned through me. I cried out. "Lies," the general hissed. "Tell me the truth, girl, or I will beat it out of you." My body trembled. My lips quivered. I came alone. Another lash, this time across my back. My knees buckled. Blood trickled slowly. My breath came out in gasps. He circled me like a predator. "You think lying to me is smart? I have easy and hard ways to make you speak. You just have to make your choice." Tears streamed down my face. Just when I thought it couldn't any worse, he laid me on a flat surface. 4 other guards held both hand and legs, spreading me wide apart. I screamed and kicked in fear, but they were too strong. Another pulled a thick nylon-like cloth tightly on my face. I gasped, couldn't breathe. My heart paced faster. Death seemed so close. Just then, the general rained down a pipe of water. I couldn't breathe. I struggled. My whole body convulsed as I choked. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I was dying. The general laughed loudly. He was enjoying every bit of it, like the monster he is. Finally, he stopped. I coughed, still choking. My breathing ragged and unstable. He grabbed my chin roughly. His fingers dug into my jaw. His breath was hot and disgusting against my skin. You will talk. Everyone talks in the end. The question is, how much pain will it take before you do? I closed my eyes. My lips trembled. I am not a spy, I whispered again, my voice barely audible. He punched me painfully on my stomach. I cried in pain, not just for myself, but for my child. I collapsed to the floor. I thought I would die right there. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the mansion, Damien paced the halls restlessly. His mind was not on me. It was on the wolf. He stormed into the stables. Where is she? He demanded. Where is the wolf? His men looked at each other nervously. Alpha, we haven't seen her since this morning. Damien's chest tightened. His wolf, the only creature he had opened up to in months, the only one who had made him feel alive again. She was sick. She was pregnant. She needed care, and now she was gone. Find her, he roared, his voice trembling with fear. Search every corner of this land. She's weak. She cannot survive without me. Do not return until you find her. His men scattered, obeying his command. Damien ran his hands through his wet hair. His heart pounded. He felt panic claw at him. He couldn't explain why, but the thought of losing that wolf filled him with unbearable pain. He searched himself, running through the gardens, the training grounds, the outer halls. He called out for her, his voice breaking with desperation. Where are you? Come back to me. But there was no answer, only silence. He returned to his chambers, his chest heaving, his face pale with fear. Back in the dungeon, I could barely stand anymore. My lips were bleeding. My body shook from exhaustion. Every breath was painful. The general whipped me again. Enough games. Who sent you? My voice cracked as I whispered, no one. He raised his whip again, but a guard entered the room quickly. General, the Alpha demands your presence. The general sneered. Shh, fine. I will return soon, girl. And next time I will not stop until you beg me to end your life. He left. I collapsed against the chains, my chest rising and falling weakly. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I thought of my child, the tiny life inside me, the only reason I still held on. The general found Damien pacing his room again. Alpha, he said stiffly. We've interrogated the girl. She refuses to speak. I am certain she's a spy, likely from the enemy pack. We should kill her before she causes more damage. Damien stopped in his tracks, his brows furrowed. Kill her? Yes, the general said coldly. She's stubborn, she's dangerous, she's not a woman. She's a weapon meant to destroy us. Damien's fists clenched. His heart was already heavy with worry for his wolf. He didn't care much about the intruder, but something about the general's words bothered him. Take me to her, he ordered. The general smirked. As you wish, Alpha. When Damien entered the dungeon, his heart froze. There I was, bloody, broken, barely conscious. My body was covered in bruises, cuts, and dirt. My lips bled. My chest rose in weak, shallow breaths. For the first time since he saw me, something flickered in his eyes. Shock, guilt, confusion. What have you done? Damien's voice thundered as he turned on the general. How could you beat a woman like this? The general scoffed. That is not a woman. That is a spy, a liar, a tool of the enemy. She deserves worse. Enough, Damien growled, his voice shaking with anger. He turned back to me. Slowly, carefully, he approached. His shadow fell over me. I could barely see him through my swollen eyes. But I knew he was there. Blood dripped from my lips. My throat burned as I forced out words. My voice was weak, almost broken. I coughed, blood staining my chin. My child. And then everything went dark. Andrew's POV. The club was hot and loud. The noises from fake laughters filled the air. My excitement was fake too, so I didn't care. I leaned my back on the chair as enjoyed the moment. Wine on one hand as I watched the number of girls trying to impress me with their fake laughter and sexy bodies. This has been my life as an alpha. Everyone wants me except her, and I hate it. How dare Ava cheat on me? Who does she think she is? I was half drunk. The club, hot ladies, alcohol, they have always been my best way to forget things, but for some reason I keep seeing her face everywhere. Girls crowded around me, their eyes full of hunger, their hands rubbing through every inch of my body. I let them. What did it matter? None of them meant anything. They were all nothing more than distractions. I laughed as they teased me with their hands. Especially one of them, she was really good at making me feel excited. I leaned closer to her, whispering into her ears. "Do that again." Just then I noticed the angry figure standing at my front. Agnes, Ava's cousin, the next pain in my ass. Her eyes locked on me, and the fury in them made even the music feel quiet. She marched forward, her heels clicking hard against the floor. The girls around me looked at her, then at me, unsure if they should move. "Really, Andrew?" she snapped, her voice like fire. "This is what you do? Flirting and drinking with cheap girls? Leave here now," she demanded. I blinked at her, then I laughed, a low, mocking sound. I shoved the girl off my lap and stood up, towering over Agnes. "Well, well," I said slowly. "If it isn't little Agnes, tell me, are you jealous, or are you here to join in?" Her face turned red. She trembled with rage. "You disgust me. First, you caused a rift between I and Ava. You made me betray my cousin, and now you want to treat me like dirt, ignoring me and sleeping around?" She leaned in closer. I would not allow it. Something inside me snapped at the sound of Ava's name. I stepped closer, my words sharp. "Get out!" I shouted at the number of girls surrounding me, creating some privacy between I and Agnes. I rushed to Agnes, grabbing her arm tightly. "Don't you dare pin that on me. You were the one who coveted your sister's position. You seduced me so you can become my Luna." I laughed with disgust. "Let me warn you, no one else can become my Luna except Ava. So even if you act like a cheap slut around me, I will never marry you," I said, then pushed her away in disgust and then turned to leave. Her lips trembled. "What does Ava have that I don't? Why is she always the one? Why does she always get the good things in life while I get nothing?" I laughed bitterly, leaning closer until my face was inches from hers. "Because you are nothing, nothing but a cheap slut who slept with her cousin's fiancé." Agnes's eyes widened in shock, her shame turning quickly into fury. "You bastard," she hissed, her voice shaking. I smirked, brushing past her. "Face it, Agnes, you'll never be her. No one will ever choose you." And then I walked out, leaving her trembling in rage and humiliation. But I knew Agnes. I knew that look in her eyes. She would not cry. She would not forget. She would burn, and when she burned, she would drag Ava into the fire with her. Ava's POV. I woke up slowly. My head hurt, in fact. Every part of my body was in pain. I managed to sit up on the bed. My face was pale, lips dry, and my chest heavy. For a moment, I thought it was all over until I noticed my hand was still cuffed to the bed. I smirked. Of course, he won't let me off that easily. And then I saw him, Damien. He was sitting on a cushioned chair not far away, scrolling through his phone like I wasn't even there. His face was calm, unreadable, but the sight of him made my chest tighten. "Why?" My voice cracked. "Why won't you kill me or let me go?" He lifted his eyes. The look he gave me was sharp, cutting right through me. "Because I don't trust you," he said simply. Pain stabbed at my heart. "What do you want from me?" He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. His voice was low, rough. "The truth. Until I know why you came here, you will not be free." Tears pricked my eyes. I shook my head weakly. "I didn't come here to hurt you." His jaw tightened. His eyes burned into mine. "Then why did you invade an alpha's mansion? No one does that unless they have a secret." I couldn't speak. My throat closed up. The truth sat heavy inside me, but I was too afraid. If he knew, if he found out I was the wolf, what would he do? Would he hand me over to my father? To Andrew? But at this point, I wasn't sure which was safer for me, being at the mercy of Andrew or been tortured to death by Damien. My hand moved to my stomach without thinking. My heart pounded. Damien's eyes followed the movement. His expression softened, just slightly. "The baby is fine," he said. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Relief filled me so quickly it almost hurt. "Please," I whispered. "Please don't hurt my child. I will do anything you want, but please don't hurt my baby." His face hardened again. His voice was cold. "It's simple. Tell me why you came here, who sent you, and both you abs, your child will be safe." The words cut me, but they also freed me. At least if he knows the child was his, maybe he would protect it. I couldn't keep lying. I couldn't stay silent. My chest rose and fell quickly. My lips trembled as I whispered, "Damien, I am." The door burst open. "Boss," a guard shouted. "The wolf has been found." My whole body froze. I breathed. Before I could understand, heavy footsteps echoed in the hall, and then I saw it. A wolf entered. I gasped, my heart stopping in my chest. It looked exactly like me, the same fur, the same eyes, the same markings. Damien's chair fell over as he stood, his face breaking into joy, real joy, the kind of joy he had never shown for me. "My wolf," he whispered. His voice cracked. He rushed forward, wrapping his arms around the creature. He buried his face into its fur, holding it like he had found his whole world again. My breath shattered. My knees weakened. My vision blurred with tears. No, this couldn't be real. I was the wolf. I was the one who had stayed by his side, who had risked everything for him. Then who was this? What cruel game was fate playing with me? I collapsed onto the bed, my chest heavy, my heart breaking into pieces I could never put back together. Damien had his wolf. And me? I was nothing, an intruder, a liar, a stranger. I pressed my chained hand against my stomach, closing my eyes as tears streamed down my face. For the first time, I felt truly hopeless. There was no way out. No one would believe me now. I had officially become the enemy Damien thought I was. And as he held the wolf with such joy, I lay broken on the bed, drowning in silence. I could not move. My body was frozen, my heart weak, my mind confused. The sight before me would not leave. Damien's face, lit with a joy I had never seen before, his arms wrapped tightly around that wolf, my wolf, or at least the wolf I thought I was. I just sat there speechless as I watched this imposter replace me, and I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't leave, not until I know why someone is impersonating me. Worse, who's this wolf? And why is she using me to get close to Damien? I don't know what was happening, but one thing was sure, she has an ulterior motive, and I need to protect Damien from it. No, I would not leave Damien. Something inside me told me this new wolf was not right. Everything about it felt wrong. The timing, the way it appeared, the way Damien's joy blinded him so quickly. This was no coincidence. Someone had placed this imposter here, and if I left, Damien would be in danger. So I made up my mind. I would stay, not for myself, not even for the child in my womb, but for him, for Damien, because no matter how he saw me, no matter how much it broke me, I could not walk away and let him be destroyed by a lie. But I knew staying was not going to be easy. Damien didn't bother himself to interrogate me after the imposter came. He left almost immediately. Morning came. I guess he finally remembered I existed. Damien entered my room. I forced myself to sit straighter. My face was pale, my lips dry, but I looked at him with the little strength I had. He was probably here to give his final judgment, but I was too determined to stay. "Since you have decided not to spill, I don't know who you are trying to protect, but one thing is for sure. Sneaking in may be easy, but you can never leave," Damien said, his voice deep and threatening. My chest tightened. I wanted to stay, but not this way. "We are only keeping you alive for the sake of your child, but you will be forever locked in the dungeon, never to be released." He stared at me with cold eyes, his words weighed heavily on my heart. Just then, my mind flashed back to when Damien still saw me as a wolf, when he cared for me. He sat beside me, running his hands softly through my fur. "Do you know, you really remind me of someone?" He smiled, lost in thoughts. "I had a childhood friend, Mira. She looks almost like you." I rested on his laps, feeling the warmth of his body. Mira was the only person I could talk to when it felt hard, but as always, she left me too. Everyone I loved always end up leaving. I saw the sadness in his eyes when he talked about her. At that moment, I wished I could comfort him, but I couldn't. Whenever I feel sad, she would tell me, even in silence, "I can hear you, and in distance I can feel you. I won't ever leave you. Together we will stay in our favorite places, my heart." Damien let out a sad laugh. "It's funny how Mira never keeps her promises. She was the first one to leave me." I felt how sad he was remembering his best friend, but now it pained me because I have to use his pain against him today just so I could stay. "Even in silence, I can hear you, and in distance I can feel you," I whispered softly just before he left the room. Damien froze. I can feel how nervous he was when he turned to me slowly. "I won't leave you. Together we will stay in our favorite places," I continued my quote. I sat up to him, our eyes locked. I smiled softly as I finished my words. The heart. Damien gasped as he stared at me, shocked. He grabbed my arm tightly, his eyes was dark and scary. Who are you? He growled. How do you know this? He didn't stop yelling. The more he questioned, the more nervous I got. I don't know, I yelled. And then silence. I don't know, my voice cracked in fear. I lost my memory. I could only remember few things, and I don't know what led me here, but everything felt familiar. My body trembled as I spoke. Now I could only hope he would buy into this lie and keep. He just watched me speechless. I got more nervous, with each passing seconds of absolute silence. I came here with hope I could regain a little more of my memories. I really didn't mean any harm, I whispered softly. No, you're lying to me, Damien said softly. His eyes widened in unbelief. Without permission, he dragged me off the bed, roughly scanning through my body. I didn't know what he was searching for, but somehow I just knew this would be the end of me. I would not only be seen as an intruder, but now an imposter. I closed my eyes deeply, wishing I had just been honest from the beginning. He paused suddenly. His jaw tightened. He was silent for a long while. Suddenly, I lifted my chin, staring at me like he could see right into my soul. My heart raced. I regretted every moment. I don't know what made you come up with this, but the moment I find out that you are lying to me, don't expect me to spare your life. He pushed me aside, aggressively. Fine. Stay, but don't think for a second this changes anything. You are still a prisoner here. Don't mistake this for trust. I will keep watching you. If this turns out to be a lie, I will make you regret coming to this world. Same goes for your child. I felt a sharp pain hit in my chest. I lowered my head, hiding the tiny tear that slid down my cheek. Thank you. But his words burned, breaking my heart into pieces. Days passed, and every one of them was like swallowing fire. I watched Damien with her, with it. The wolf he called Molly. Yes, he had even given her name, Molly, a soft, gentle name. A name spoken with care. I hated watching them together. He was treating her like some egg that could break. I hated that he couldn't even tell the difference between a wolf he claimed to love. And I hated myself too. I hated that my heart was so weak that jealousy burned me like poison, that I couldn't stop my chest from aching whenever I saw them together. I tried to remind myself, this was not about me. I stayed to protect him. I needed to know her through motive for impersonating me, not to compete with her. But my heart did not listen. Whenever I tried to approach him, Molly would appear. It was as if she knew, as if she was waiting for the exact moment I want to talk to him. But I needed to let him know he should be careful. But worse, I couldn't find any evidence against Molly. She was smart. And he always turned to her. Always. I was invisible. I saw him one afternoon. He was alone finally. This was my moment to tell him. But just before I could, a girl walked in. She looked shy, her head lowered, her fingers nervously twisting together. She stood there for a moment, then whispered, "Alpha Damien, it's me." He turned. His eyes narrowed slightly. "You are?" Her lips trembled before she said the words that shattered me. "It's me, Molly. I have been able to transform back into human form." My breath caught in my throat. No, this wasn't possible. I saw how Damien stared at her. It broke me. This was the look he would have given me if he had seen me transform. A soft, proud smile. "You've grown stronger," he said gently. "I am proud of you." The words I had longed to hear for myself fell from his lips for her. I stood frozen, every piece of me breaking. He was proud of her, the imposter, the liar. While I stood in the shadows, unseen. Later in the evening I saw them again, walking side by side through the courtyard. I hate that she glued to him like a leech, refusing to let go. Damien's tall frame calm and strong. Molly's smaller figure, looking up at him with a glow in her eyes. It twisted my heart like a knife. I wanted to look away, to hide, but my feet wouldn't move. My eyes refused to leave them. Then she stopped. Damien paused too, turning to face her. "What is it?" he asked. She smiled, a soft, knowing smile. "I have something to tell you," she whispered. He tilted his head slightly, waiting. "Thank you for watching over me all this while. I love you." And then, with a boldness that cut me to pieces, she leaned forward and kissed him. Right on the lips, he froze. His body stiffened. His eyes widened in shock. And me? I stood there, just a few feet away, watching. My heart shattered with a soundless scream. My chest burned, my stomach twisted, my knees weakened, and when I couldn't stand anymore, I turned away. Tears blurred my vision as I walked, my body heavy like I was carrying the weight of 1,000 stones. I had stayed even though it hurts because I need to protect him. I had stayed to fight for him. But tonight, all I felt was defeat. Because the man I love was slowly slipping away, and there was nothing I could do about it. I kept telling myself not to cry. I had to be strong, but my heart was breaking. Don't cry, Ava. Don't cry. Be strong. Those were the words I kept repeating in my heart over and over again, but it didn't help. Nothing changed. I still felt pain in my heart. Tears kept dropping no matter how much I wiped it off. I just wished I could disappear and not feel anything, but that wouldn't happen either. My chest was heavy. It was too painful. I just laid on my bed, broken. I kept on hearing Molly loud laugh and some bickering with Damien. I'm beginning she's doing this intentionally, because why of all places she chose the spot closest to my room to display their affection. I hated it. I hated Molly. I hated Damien. Worse, I hated myself for falling. I want to walk away. I don't want to feel this pain. I will raise my child alone, forgetting this ever happened. I want to make him a star I couldn't reach. But I just couldn't. I couldn't leave him, not when I might be the only one who can save him from the imposter. I curled myself up on the cold bed, closing my eyes deeply. I caressed my stomach softly. My baby was all I had left. Warm tears slipped from my eyes, wetting my pillow. Then suddenly, clang. I heard a sharp noise. It came from somewhere here, but I didn't know where exactly. I jolted up quickly. I wiped the tears off quickly, my eyes scanning every inch of my small room. Someone was here. The sound came again, from the wardrobe. My heart pounded in fear. I stood up quickly, grabbing a pole which leaned against the wall. I raised it up, tightened my grip on it. I said, "Who's there? Show yourself." Still nothing. At this point, I was already trembling, not knowing what to expect. I took slow and cautious steps towards the wardrobe, and then I pulled the wardrobe door open. I didn't waste a sec. I raised the pole with all my strength. A loud scream escaped my mouth. Just then, I saw a little figure staring at me with his innocent eyes. I froze. My breath caught. It wasn't a soldier. It wasn't a spy. It was a child. I saw the little boy, curled inside. His eyes was filled with fear. His face was pale and his mouth stained with food. He looked guilty and scared. I blinked, lowering the pole. "What are you doing in here?" The boy pressed himself further into the wardrobe. He was scared of me, or maybe everyone. I saw him tighten his grip on the half buns he held. He looked no older than 8. I sighed in relief, dropping the pole at a distance. I smiled softly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you," I said gently, reached out my hands to him. Slowly, the boy crawled out. His clothes were dirty, his cheeks thin, his hands trembling. "Who are you?" I asked softly. I live here," he whispered. "In the Alpha's mansion." Before I could ask more, bang! 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 The door shook with heavy knocks. The boy jumped. He held me tight. He was silent, but his eyes told me just how scared he was. I gave him a comforting smile, slowly releasing his tight clutch on my gown. I rushed to the door, opening it just a little. I tucked my head out to respond, but before I could speak, a large woman barged inside without waiting. She was big and heavy. Her belly protruded out of her loosed gown, her face red with anger. Her voice was like thunder. "Where is he?" she shouted, her eyes wild. I stepped back, keeping my voice calm. "Who?" I looked around stylishly. He was nowhere in sight. "Don't play games with me," she snapped. "The boy, did you see him?" She stormed into the room, without permission, searching through my things. She pulled the curtains aggressively, checked under the bed too, but found nothing. My heart raced. The boy was still hiding. I made a silent prayer in my heart that she wouldn't find him. "There's no one here," I said firmly. "Leave my room." The woman turned, glaring at me with sharp, cruel eyes. My heart raced. I thought she had caught me lying. But then she hissed, muttering words, "Go herself." Then she stormed out of the room, banging the door loudly behind her. I locked the door quickly and let out a sigh of relief. I leaned on the door, knowing I have another problem to deal with. That's when I saw the boy crawl out of a tiny corner I never knew existed in my room. I was quiet, but my eyes were asking him numerous questions. I waited patiently for his explanation while he just played with his tiny fingers. Please, he whispered. Don't tell her. My chest tightened. Who is she? She's the kitchen manager, he said, his voice small and scared. They left me in her care ever since I became an orphan, but I hate being here. She's cruel. She hits me. She doesn't give me enough food. I can't stay with her anymore. My energy drained. It was almost like I can see myself in him. At least I know what it's like to feel abandoned or maltreated. As I listen to his story, I feel pain. Not sure if I felt bad for him or for myself. I just knew he needed me and I shouldn't abandon him. I knelt down and touched his arm gently. Don't worry, I won't tell her. I'll help you. He looked at me with a desperate kind of hope. The hope I saw in his eyes broke me more. What have I done? I can barely even take care of myself, and now I had to take care of a child too. It wasn't going to be easy, but I won't abandon him. I smiled softly. But I can't keep you here with me. It's too risky. His face fell. But listen, I whispered quickly. I'll find a place, somewhere safe. You just have to trust me. That night, when the mansion grew quiet and the halls were empty, I took his small hand in mine. Stay close, I whispered. We crept out of my room. The moonlight poured through the windows, making the shadows stretch long and thin. Every sound felt louder in the silence. When footsteps echoed, we pressed ourselves against the wall and held our breath. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would give us away. Finally, I pushed open an old, dusty door at the far end of the hall. The hinges creaked. Inside was a room that smelled of dust and cobwebs. No one had been there in years. This will be our place, I said softly. No one comes here. I'll bring you food every day. You'll be safe until I can think of something better. The boy's eyes lit up. For the first time, I saw a little hope on his face. But before I could say more, footsteps. I froze. I grabbed the boy and pulled him behind a broken shelf. The door creaked open. It was Molly. She walked inside, her steps soft, her smile cruel. But she wasn't alone. A tall man followed her, his face hidden under a dark cloak. I held the boy tightly. My heart thudded so loudly I thought they would hear it. Molly's voice was smooth but sharp like glass. I've got him fooled completely. Can you believe it? He didn't even recognize the pet he claimed to love. My nails dug into my palms. She laughed lightly. Alphas are so easy. I'll make him fall in love with me so deeply he won't see anyone else, and when he does, he won't know what hit him. My whole body shook with anger. I knew it. I knew she was a liar. The man's voice was deep and cold. Keep getting close to him. When the time is right, we strike. I leaned forward, desperate to see his face, but the cloak covered him. The two of them left, their voices fading down the hall. Silence fell again. The boy looked at me with wide eyes. What was that? I swallowed hard, my hands trembling. The truth, I whispered. I need to tell him. I knew she was up to no good. Damien has to know before it's too late. I stood, pulling the boy with me. My chest hurt, my legs felt weak, but I forced myself forward. This was my chance, my proof. We stepped out of the dark room, ready to move quickly through the hall, but then a voice. Deep, cold, right behind me. Going somewhere. My whole body, as the boy's hand squeezed mine in fear. Slowly, I turned around, and my heart stopped. I froze, my heart pounded quickly like it could fall out of my chest. The little boy held me tightly, hiding behind me. My eyes darted around, looking for an escape route, just in case we would need one. Going somewhere? He repeated. I turned slowly, trying to see his face under the dim moonlight. My breath caught as he stepped into the light, and to my surprise, it wasn't a soldier or the cloaked stranger. It was an ordinary-looking man with heavy-set. His outfits looked exactly like the one of the workers in the mansion, but his countenance made him look like someone with a higher position. His clothes were neat but plain, and his eyes were stern. I blinked, confused. My wolf had been restless with fear, yet this man wasn't a threat. Who are you? I asked carefully, my voice shaking. He raised an eyebrow. You don't even know me. I'm in charge of this mansion, girl. The Alpha entrusted me to keep everything in order. And yet, his eyes narrowed, sweeping the dusty room we stood in. You're here, a place you have no right to be. His tone was sharp like a whip. My chest tightened. I didn't mean to. I tried to explain, but he cut me off. You think you can walk wherever you please? Do you know how dangerous it is to wander? You're not allowed here. If the Alpha finds out, it won't just be my head. It'll be yours. I froze, unable to argue. His words rang in my head. Worse, he was right. I can only imagine what would happen to me if Damien find out I have been snooping around. Even if I told him what I discovered, would he believe me? But I didn't have a choice. I had to tell him. I couldn't sit still while Molly deceived him. The man waved me off like I was a nuisance. Leave now. Don't let me catch you here again. I nodded quickly, grabbed the boy's hand, and ran as fast as my legs could take me. But my thoughts ran faster than my foot. Molly is lying. Damien is in danger. I have to tell him. He has to know. Panic filled me like rushing water. My steps quickened. My hands shook. I left the boy back in my room and left almost immediately. I wasn't even aware how fast I walked before I knew it. I was standing in front of his study. The door was closed, but lights were still on, so I knew he was in there. My heart pounded harder now that I was this close. I would tell him everything, but how? And would he really trust me? I reached for the handle, but before I could take a further step, it pulled open. A maid stepped out, blocking my view. She saw me instantly, her sharp eyes narrowing. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked. She spoke with so much disdain and irritation. "I need to see the alpha," I answered quickly, trying to push past her. Her lips curled into a sneer. "Are you trying to seduce him again? Shameless girl. You came from nothing, yet you think you can climb into our alpha's bed? How pathetic." Her words stung, but I didn't have time for her insults. My patience was thin, and every second wasted was another chance Molly got closer to destroying Damien. "Move aside," I said firmly, trying to step around her. But she blocked me again, grabbing my arm tightly. "Didn't you hear me? I'm talking to you." I clenched my fist tightly. If it was any normal occasion, I would have just kept quiet, but my Damien's life was at stake, and I won't let anything stop me from protecting him. I turned to her, sending a sharp glare. "You don't scare me. I'm not here for you, and I don't answer to you. So step aside before you regret holding me back." She gasped, her grip on me loosened. I shoved her aside, ignoring how shocked she looked. I pushed the door open, forcing myself in. I froze at the sight before me. Molly sat on Damien's desk, messing with his tie with a sly smile, while he just sat there, focused on his laptop. He was probably enjoying her little seduction. He couldn't even pull her away. A sharp pain hit me like a knife stab in my chest. I hated the way she was touching my Damien, and worse, he didn't do anything to stop it. I wanted to turn back, but I couldn't. I couldn't leave Damien with this imposter, not when I had the truth. The door slammed loudly behind me. The sound grabbed both their attention immediately. Damien's eyes locked on me. Unlike how he was around her, his countenance changed immediately. "What do you want?" he asked sharply, his voice like ice. I froze. The words stayed stuck on my throat. My heart raced. He stood up suddenly, his tall figure looming over me, his glare cut through me. "Why do you barge into my office like this? Why do you act as though you can do whatever you want here?" Before I could answer, his hand shot out, gripping my arm painfully. His strength made me wince. "Damien," my voice trembled, "you think you can speak to me however you want? Walk in wherever you please? Don't forget where you are. I can punish you for this insolence." Molly rose slowly behind him, walking towards us. Her hips swaying seductively, a cruel smile curved on her lips as her fingers brushed softly against his neck. She gave me a side glance, her eyes full of mockery. "Alpha Damien, you're too soft. That's why spies can sneak into your home. Don't you see? This girl isn't loyal. She's here to seduce you. Look at her. So desperate, it's obvious." Her laugh was sharp, cutting into my chest. I swallowed the pain, holding my ground. "I have something to say to the Alpha. Outsiders are not included." Her smile faltered just for a moment, but Damien's eyes darkened with anger. "Outsiders?" His voice was low, dangerous. "If there's any outsider here, it's you. Speak now, before I lose my patience." His grip on my arm tightened, making me cry out softly. He leaned close. "The only reason I keep you here is because of Mira. You knew her. You share pieces of a past I need answers to. That's it. Don't mistake that for privilege." And then he pushed me hardly without mercy. I stumbled, crashing against the wall. Pain shot up my arm as I scraped against it. Blood flowed from the scar. I gasped in pain, clutching the wound. My chest hurt even more. But Damien looked away, as though forcing himself not to care. Yet I saw it, just for a second, the flicker of guilt in his eyes. Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. "Yes, Damien," I whispered, my voice trembling but full of hurt. "You're only keeping me here because of Mira, because you want to know my connection to her. But tell me." I raised my voice, anger lacing every word. "Why are you keeping this imposter here?" The word made Molly stiffen. Her confident smile faltered, and for the first time fear flickered across her face. My chest rose and fell rapidly. I couldn't stop now. "She's lying to you, Damien. She's not who you think she is. She's deceiving you, and if you don't see it soon, she'll destroy you." Damien froze, his eyes narrowing. He stepped closer to me, his voice low, dangerous. "What did you just say?" Before I could answer, a sudden cry cut through the tension. Molly had fallen to the floor, clutching her leg. Blood stained the hem of her gown. "Damien!" she cried out desperately, her voice trembling with pain. "It hurts, please!" Damien rushed to her without hesitation, his arms sweeping her up as though she were precious glass, his face twisted with concern. My breath caught. My body went cold. As he rushed her out of the room, Molly's eyes was fixed on me as her lips curled with a victorious smile. I just stood there, powerless. Blood dripped heavily from my arm, but he didn't even care, but he was so concerned over a tiny cut on the imposter's leg. "It hurts." And then a searing pain exploded in my chest. I gasped, clutching my chest tightly as I slowly collapsed to the floor. My inner wild growled in pain, too. This time it wasn't the injury or the pain I felt watching them close. It was something different, something deeper, and something so painful. Why does it hurt so much?" I whispered. My tears finally spilled, streaming hot down my cheeks. "He's not even my mate," I said to my wolf. "I haven't been mated yet, so why does it feel like my heart is tearing apart just because he carried her?" The answer didn't come, only pain. Endless, unbearable pain. My chest tightened as if crushed by invisible hands. My breath came in shallow gasps, my stomach twisted, my arms wrapped around it protectively. Is this how it feels to love someone?" I asked brokenly, my voice hoarse. The silence in my mind was answer enough. The pain spread, raw and consuming. "It hurts. So much." I curled against the floor, tears soaking my skin, the wound on my arm still bleeding. My heart felt heavy, my body trembling, but deeper than the pain, a promise formed silently inside me. No matter what it cost, no matter how much it hurt, I would not let Molly win. Not while I still had breath. Damien's POV. As I carried Molly in my arms, I suddenly felt it. A sharp pain in my chest, piercing like a dagger. I froze, my steps halted, my breath caught, and I whispered to myself, almost too quietly for anyone to hear. "She's hurt." My fists tightened around Molly's weight. For a moment, I closed my eyes, fighting the strange ache clawing at my heart. Molly tilted her head, confused. "What is it? What happened?" I forced a soft smile, masking the truth. "It's nothing." She studied me, suspicious, but said nothing as I placed her carefully on the cushioned chair where I often treated wounds. I picked up an ointment and began tending to the cut on her leg. Her eyes never left me. They were sharp, watching me too closely. Then she slowly wrapped her arms around my neck, pulling me closer to her. She leaned in for a kiss. Before she could, I moved backwards. Our eyes locked, but not for too long as I stood up quickly. "You should treat it yourself," I said firmly and left before she could even protest. Her eyes, filled with confusion and disappointment, followed me with every step I took. I still felt the sharp pain in my chest when I pushed open the door to my study and froze. Ava lay unconscious on the ground. Her body was curled up together, her hands clutching her chest tightly. My guess was right. She was feeling as much pain as I did. "Hey!" My voice cracked with urgency. I rushed to her quickly. My legs trembled slightly as knelt before her, wrapping my arms around her. I patted her face continuously, but there was not response. I have never felt so scared in my life. I was scared to lose her. Finally, she made some silent sounds. I took a deep breath in relief. Without thinking, I lifted her into my arms, softly. She looked so fragile, like she could break if I wasn't careful. My heart breaks as I watched her in this condition. I carried her quickly out of the room, my heart pounding. Ava's POV. My vision was blurred. I was slowly loosing it when I saw a figure running towards me. As he knelt before me, I saw him. Damien. His face filled with worry, and he took me into his arms. He hasn't looked at me that way before. If I knew getting sick would make him feel just a little bit worried for me, I would have done that long ago. My vision was blurry. I struggled to stay awake, but I couldn't. Everything went blank. The next thing I knew, I was already on a soft mattress. Sunlight brushed warmly against my face. I blinked, covering my eyes with my hands. My mind flashed back to Damien's face. The way he looked at me, the way he ran. Was that real, or just a dream? I whispered. A sound at the corner made me stiffen. I sat up slightly. "Come out," I commanded, my voice weak but firm. A small figure emerged. The boy. He ran to me, wrapping his little arms around me tightly. "I was so scared," he said softly, trembling. My lips curved into a faint smile. I stroked his hair. "How long have you been here?" "For a while," he whispered. I pulled back a little, searching his eyes. Did you see the alpha anywhere close?" He shook his head. My chest sank. Disappointment stabbed me. I pushed myself off the bed, determination rising. I need to know. I need to see if it was real, if he really cares. The boy clutched my wrist. "Don't go, please." But I shook my head, gently prying his hands off. I pulled the needle of the drip from my arm without hesitation, blood spotting the sheets. The door burst open. A nurse rushed in. "Wait, you can't." But I didn't stop. My feet carried me faster than reason. I ran down the hall, my heart pounding with every step. I searched his room, empty. His study, empty again. Desperation fueled me until I reached the garden. And then I saw him. Damien stood with his back to me, the sunlight casting his tall figure in shadow. My heart pounded. My fingers trembled till I clutched them together. I forced out a nervous smile. "I saw you," I said softly. "I saw you cared for me when I was unwell." He didn't turn. "You haven't looked at me that way since." I hesitated. "Since Molly. You care about me, don't you?" "I saw it. You were worried about me." My words were filled with hope, trembling but true. Finally, he turned. But his eyes, they weren't the same eyes I had seen before. They were dark, cold, empty. My smile faded, and then I saw her. Molly stepped out from behind him, her hand brushing his sleeve. She had been there the whole time. My stomach dropped. Foolishness washed over me. Damien smirked. "What were you saying?" "That I care about you." My heart trembled. You rushed to me. You were the one who got me treated." His gaze lingered on me, unreadable, before twisting into something cruel. "I didn't even know you were sick." He wrapped his arm around Molly's waist and walked past me. "You!" I screamed, my voice cracking. "You claim to love Molly, but you can't even tell who the real Molly is." Damien froze. His steps halted. Slowly he turned, his expression hard. "What do you mean?" My fists clenched. My heart raced. "Open your eyes, Alpha. She's not Molly. I am Molly." The air went still. The imposter's eyes widened before she quickly stepped forward. "Are you insane?" she spat. I glared at her, stepping closer. "Damien, she doesn't even know the memories we shared. Ask her. Ask her about the first place you saw Molly. She doesn't know it." "Alpha Damien," he corrected sharply, his tone like a blade. His anger radiated. "Are you calling me a fool? Are you saying I don't know Molly?" He marched toward me, his presence overwhelming. My voice shook, but I didn't back down. "If you really know Molly, then you'd see she's a fake." I turned to the imposter, my voice like fire. "You're the real Molly, right? Then tell me, who's Mira?" Her lips parted. She froze, her face pale. For the first time, she was speechless. Before she could answer, Damien raised a hand. "Don't speak." His eyes turned to me, blazing with fury. He seized me by the neck, lifting me slightly off the ground. My breath hitched, my hands clawing at his grip. "Don't you ever insult me like this again," he growled. "The very sight of you disgusts me." He shoved me forcefully to the ground. Pain exploded through my body as I hit the floor. I lay there, gasping, my heart breaking into pieces. Damien didn't even look back. He took Molly's hand gently and led her away. I stayed on the ground, shattered. My tears blurred my vision, but the truth burned clear inside me. He would never believe me. Not until it was too late. Damien's POV. The hall was quiet, too quiet. Ava's words still echoed in my ears. "You claim to love Molly, but you can't even tell who the real Molly is. She's not Molly. I am Molly." I tightened my fist. My jaw was clenched so tight, forcing myself not to look at her broken form laying on the ground. My chest ached, but I couldn't show how much pain I was in. I turned to my beta Marcus, my most trusted right hand. My voice was cold, sharp as a blade. "Take her away," I ordered, keeping my tone steady. "Make sure she learns never to speak to me that way again. Beat her so much that she wouldn't dare look me in the eye." A murmur spread across the hall, but no one dared speak. Ava's body trembled where she lay, her face pale, her lips cut from the fall. I hardened my eyes, but just before Marcus moved, I sent him a sharp signal, a flick of my fingers, a look only he could read. Don't hurt her. Just question her. Marcus understood. He nodded once. I left Ava there alone, and instead I walked towards the imposter. I hate her guts, but I couldn't let that show. She welcomed me with a wide smile, her hands wrapped around my neck. She leaned in, pressing a soft kiss on my cheeks. I clenched my fist tightly, but let out a forced smile. I trust you completely, I said softly, loud enough for her to hear. Molly's eyes was filled with satisfaction. I turned away quickly, masking the storm within. My gaze drifted to the door where Ava had been dragged away. My chest tightened with something heavy, something painful. How could I not know who the real Molly is? My eyes burned with regret. I'm sorry you had to go through this, Ava. This is the only way I know to protect you and to uncover the real enemy. But even as I thought it, my heart felt like it was splitting in two. Ava's POV. The guards dragged me into the dimly lit chamber. The air was thick with the smell of iron and blood. My wrists ached under their grip, my body still bruised from Damien's cruel shove. I tried to stay strong, but fear clawed at me. Marcus, the beta, stood before me. His face was stern but not cruel. He waved the guards back. No one touches her, he ordered. His voice was firm, commanding. Just question her. That's the Alpha's will. The guards hesitated but obeyed. Relief washed over me, though only for a moment. I was forced to sit on a wooden chair. Questions came at me, about my claims, about Molly, about Mira. I kept my lips sealed, refusing to give them more than they deserved. Minutes stretched into hours. My body trembled, but at least they weren't hurting me. Until the door creaked open. My blood ran cold. It was him. The same man who had tortured me before, tall, scarred, with eyes filled with cruelty. He sneered as he stepped into the room. Why is she still in one piece? Marcus turned sharply. The Alpha said. The man cut him off, his voice dripping with venom. The Alpha doesn't need to dirty his hands with lies. I'll handle this. Before Marcus could stop him, he pushed him aside and strode toward me. His hand came down like fire across my face. Pain exploded through my cheek, my head snapping sideways. I gasped, blood filling my mouth. You think you can fool the Alpha? He roared. You think you can spit lies in this house? Blow after blow rained down on me. My body jerked, my skin burning from the hits. My cries filled the room, but no one came to help. Every strike stole a piece of me. My ribs screamed, my lungs ached, my blood soaked into the floor, and through it all, he laughed. This is the Alpha's order, he hissed in my ear. Every hit is from him. He wants you broken. His words cut deeper than the pain. Damien, did you really? I wanted to believe the look in his eyes earlier meant something. I wanted to believe the man who carried me with care when I fainted was still in there. But as the fists pounded into my body, that hope began to die. My vision blurred. My body gave up. Every breath was like fire. And then darkness began to swallow me. Damien's POV. A sharp, piercing pain shot through my chest. I staggered, clutching my heart. My breath caught. Ava, I whispered. Without another thought, I ran. My legs moved faster than reason, faster than fear. I tore through the halls, following the bond that tugged at my chest. When I pushed open the chamber doors, my world shattered. Blood. The floor was painted with her blood. Her body lay twisted, broken, barely breathing. And the man, that cursed man, stood above her, his fist still dripping red. For a moment, I froze. My heart stopped. Rage, sorrow, guilt, it all crashed over me in a violent storm. My growl shook the walls. Before anyone could react, I rushed toward him. My claws grew out, my whole body burned in anger. I grabbed his neck tightly that he choked, struggling to breathe, his eyes widened in fear. With one swing, I threw him across the room. His body crashed into the wall, nearly snapping. But my rage was not done. I jumped on him again, my claws aimed for his chest. I was ready to kill him. Alpha! Stop! Marcus grabbed my arm quickly. I struggled for a while, but then I hesitated. Killing him would only cause some unnecessary attention. It wasn't worth it. That second of hesitation saved the man's life. I stood there, chest racing fast, my vision red. I turned to Marcus, my fury uncontained. I told you not to hurt her. My hand flew before I could stop it. A slap so hard it sent Marcus stumbling. The hall fell silent. Everyone dropped to their knees. their heads bowed in fear. I turned back to Ava. Her fragile body lay in a pool of blood, her face swollen, her lips split. My chest clenched so hard I thought I'd break apart. Slowly, gently, I bent down. My hands trembled as I lifted her, cradling her broken form against me. Her blood stained my clothes, but I didn't care. I held her close, my heart pounding with guilt and fury. I whispered so quietly, only she could hear, though she was unconscious. "I'm sorry, I failed you." Without looking back, I carried her out of the hall, every step heavy with regret. Molly's POV. The sound of continuous wailing and crying was really annoying. His voice was sharp and broken as it disturbed the peace of my room. I turned and looked at him. Eric, the same man who beat Ava almost to death. My alpha had beaten him so much he came back with swollen eyes and broken bones. Pathetic. I rolled my eyes and let out a sharp breath. His crying disgusted me. A man should never cry like that. Not a warrior. Not him. Beside me on the table was an ice wrap and a small bottle of ointment. I picked them up and tossed them at him. "Here," I said coldly. "Treat yourself. You look like trash." The ice hit him sharply on the chest before falling to his laps. I watched him wipe his nose off like a child. His every movement filled me with disgust. "Thank you, Andre Molly." I glared at him. He was about to slip up, calling my real name. He quickly corrected himself. I crossed my arms and leaned my back against the wall while I watched him treat himself. For a moment I almost pitied his pathetic phase. But then his tone changed. His cries slowed, his eyes sharpened, his voice was serious now. "I haven't seen the alpha so angry before," he said, his gaze fixed on me. "Not like that. Not even when outsiders attacked the borders. He looked different." My brows drew together. "What do you mean?" Eric pressed the ointment to his split lip, wincing at the sting. Could it be there's something between him and that wolf? That girl? I felt my stomach twist, but I quickly forced out a sharp laugh. "Don't be stupid. Damien hates her." Eric didn't look convinced. His good eye narrowed at me. "No, Molly. I saw the way he held her. I saw his face when he saw her bleeding. He wasn't just angry. He was shaken, and worse." He paused, his words cut deeper than the ice in his hand. "What if he knows you are fake?" For a moment, silence filled the room. My heart skipped, but I straightened, forcing my face to stay calm. He doesn't know. He can't know. But the way I said it was not for him. It was for me. I was trying to convince myself. Eric leaned closer, his voice hard. "If the alpha's attention leaves you, our entire plan is ruined." He shoved himself off the bed, standing even though his body shook from the pain. "I cannot let that happen." I stepped in front of him quickly. "And where do you think you're going?" His jaw tightened. "To kill her, I'll finish the job." I let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "Really? Look at you. You can barely stand. What can you do in that state?" His lips parted to argue, but then I gave him a glare so sharp he froze. "Sit," I ordered. He hesitated. My glare deepened. He sat down immediately, like a dog obeying its master. "I'll kill her myself," I said firmly. Without another word, I turned and left the room. Ava's POV. The room was quiet. I could only hear the sound of clock ticking and soft sound of machine beeping. My eyes were heavy and weak, but I forced it open. My body still heavy with pain with every slight movement I made. Suddenly, the door slid open, and a nurse came in, her face covered with a nose mask. She moved towards me slowly. Something in me stirred. Something felt wrong. She approached me with a syringe. I didn't feel comfortable around her. Worse, her eyes felt awfully familiar. I watched her softly, but then I noticed she was a nails. Nurses shouldn't be on a nails. Then I whispered softly, "What are you doing?" She didn't answer. That's when I started getting suspicious. I saw her press the syringe against the drip, but before she could continue, I stopped her. "No," I screamed, and with the last strength I had, I grabbed her wrist. Her eyes flashed at me. For a split second, I saw her face under the mask. "Molly." "You?" I gasped. "It's you." I held on to her tightly. She fought against me. She almost overpowered me, but I wasn't willing to let her go, even if it was the last thing I'd do. In our struggle, the tray on the table fell on the floor. The loud nose echoed through the room, drawing attentions from the guard keeping watch. Molly's eyes widened. She pushed me hardly, and then ran as fast as she could. "Help!" I screamed with all my strength. "It's Molly! She tried to kill me! It's Molly!" Guards rushed in at the noise. They grabbed me, trying to calm me down, but I kept shouting, pointing at the door. It was Molly. She came in here. She tried to kill me. They looked confused. Some exchanged glances, some looked doubtful, but I didn't stop. My voice was desperate, raw. Believe me. It's her. It's Molly, Damien's POV. I entered the room at the sound of her voice. My chest was tight with worry, though I quickly masked it. Ava lay on the bed, her face pale, her eyes wild with panic. She pointed at the door, tears streaming down her face. It was Molly, she cried. She tried to kill me. Damien, please, you have to believe me. I froze for a moment, but then I forced my face into stone. I couldn't let my emotions show. I stepped closer, my tone sharp, almost cruel. Why are you making a scene? She sobbed, grabbing my hand. I swear she came in here disguised as a nurse. She tried to inject the drip. Please, Damien, you have to believe me. Her eyes searched mine desperately, begging for truth, begging for love. But I shouted at her, my voice like thunder. Enough. If you ever dare frame Molly again, if you ever speak against her in this house, I will kill you myself. Her hand fell from mine, as though burned. Her tears fell harder, her body shaking with pain and betrayal. I turned from her before she could see the storm in my eyes. The door shut behind me. My mask fell. My body shook with rage, my hands clenched so tight, my claws threatened to break skin. I wanted to storm to Molly's room and rip her apart. But Marcus was waiting in the hall. He stepped in front of me, his eyes calm but firm. Not now, he said. My teeth ground together. She tried again. She will not stop until Ava is dead. I cannot keep watching. You must, Marcus cut in. If you kill her now, we lose everything. The bigger plan will collapse. It is only through Molly that we can reach the rest. I looked away, my chest burning. This plan is taking too long, I growled. I have to deal with every one of them as soon as possible. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Then it is time. I turned back to him, my fury slowly twisting into resolve. Yes, it is time to move on to the next step. Later that evening, the sky was painted orange with the setting sun. The garden was quiet, filled with the soft scent of flowers. I stood waiting, my heart heavy, my fists tight. Molly came, her smile wide, her eyes shining with pride. She thought she had me wrapped around her little finger. I forced a smile, though inside I wanted to tear her apart. Molly, I said softly, I want you to know something. She tilted her head, her eyes glowing. What is it, Damien? I swallowed, every word like poison on my tongue. I love you. Her face lit up, joy spreading like fire. I looked away for a second, my jaw clenching, before I forced the next words out. Will you marry me? Her hands flew to her mouth, tears of excitement filling her eyes. She rushed forward and threw her arms around me. Yes, yes, Damien, I'll marry you! I stood stiff, her warmth suffocating me. My fists clenched tightly behind her back, my eyes filled with cold fire. As she pressed her cheek against my chest, I whispered inside myself, This will be your downfall. Ava's POV. I woke up slowly. My body was heavy, my eyes tired. The soft beeping of the machine filled the quiet room. The first thing I saw was the little boy, Michael, sitting at the edge of my bed. He looked at me with his innocent eyes, and when I smiled at him, he smiled back. How long have you been here? My voice cracked as I spoke. He just shook his head with a tiny smile. Judging from how tired his eyes looked, I can tell he had been by my side for a long time without sleeping. I smiled softly and then ran my fingers through his hair. He has been my only supporter in this mansion that gave me nothing but pain. Do you? But then I heard something else. Noises. Strange noises coming from outside. Voices. Footsteps. Laughter. It was not the calm I was used to. It was louder. Busier. Almost like a celebration. I frowned. My voice was weak, but I still asked, What's happening? The boy hesitated. His eyes darted to the door, then back to me. His lips trembled before he spoke. The Alpha is planning a wedding. My heart stopped. The air froze in my lungs. A wedding? I whispered. The boy nodded slowly. I felt my chest tighten so hard it hurt. Tears filled my eyes instantly. My hands shook as I touched the drip in my arm. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't stay here, not when those words kept ringing in my head. Before I could think, I pulled the drip out. I felt a sharp pain on my hand, blood flowing out due to the force I used in pulling out the drip, but I ignored it. In fact, nothing else mattered at that moment, not even my life. My heart ached. I couldn't let Damien do this. I forced myself out of the bed and then ran barefooted along the hallway. Michael called after me several times, but I didn't stop. I kept running. All I knew was that I had to see him. I had to see Damien. The halls felt longer than ever. My breathing became heavier and sharper. My head felt dizzy, probably due to lack of blood. My vision became blurry, but I didn't stop. I kept running until finally I saw him. Damien. He was standing near a tall glass window. The morning light touched his strong shoulders and his sharp face. He looked calm, but too calm, too cold. My heart ached the moment I saw him. Why? My voice cracked as I clutched my stomach with one hand, trying not to fall. Why are you suddenly getting married? He turned his head toward me. His eyes met mine. His face was blank. No anger, no surprise, just nothing. He didn't speak. Tears burned my eyes. I stepped closer, my voice breaking. You are marrying the same woman who tried to kill me. She is fake, Damien. She is not Molly. My chest rose and fell with every word. What happens when you find out she was pretending all along? What happens when you realize you married the wrong person? Still silence. My heart twisted. I felt like screaming. My lips trembled as I whispered again, "She's fake. She's fake." Finally, his voice came. It was low and sharp. "Why are you so concerned about my wedding?" The question pierced through me. I froze. His gaze was strong, burning, yet his face was still cold. "It is none of your business. I let you stay here only because of Mira. Once I find Mira, you are gone, out of my life. For good." His words broke me. My chest shook with pain. "Damien," I whispered, but my voice was too weak. He didn't care. He turned his head slightly, his tone cutting deeper. "If you want to stay useful until then, prepare yourself. You will assist with the wedding arrangements." My mouth fell open. I stared at him in disbelief. Then he gave the final blow. "I am your alpha. Molly will be your Luna. You must always respect her." He turned to leave, but then his eyes spotted the blood dripping from my hands. Something stirred in the air at that moment. Without any hesitation, he ran to me quickly. "What are you doing?" He spoke with concern and worry in his voice. "Why would you do this? Why would you not take care of yourself?" I froze. I had never seen him like this. His anger wasn't empty. His eyes were different. They held fear, concern, worry. My heart pounded harder. My mind was confused. Was he faking this? Or was it real? Was he really worried about me? Just when I tried to process what just happened, Damien lifted me into his arms. I froze. My hands rested on his hard chest, which, if I'm not mistaken, was beating really fast. I wanted to resist because I didn't want to play, but my heart just wanted to enjoy this moment, so I gently placed my head against his chest. He carried me down the hall. His steps were quick, powerful, like he was afraid I would fall apart in his arms. The next moment we were inside his study. The door shut behind us with a loud thud. We were alone. He set me gently on his desk. My body trembled. My eyes stayed locked on him. Damien's hands were careful as they held mine. He brought out a cloth and cleaned my wound. His movements were slow, gentle, precise. I stared in disbelief. I couldn't breathe. The same man who shouted at me, the same man who spoke so coldly, the same man who said he wanted me gone. Now he was here, cleaning my wound like I mattered. Tears blurred my vision. He leaned closer, his breath brushing against my skin as he blew softly on the wound, easing the sting. The room was silent. Time seemed to stop. Every sound faded except his breath and my heartbeat. My lips moved before I could stop them. "I love you." The words slipped out softly, barely a whisper, but they filled the whole room. Damien froze. His hand stopped moving. His eyes widened for a moment, though he quickly tried to hide it. His chest rose and fell heavily, like the words had struck him deep. My heart raced as I realized what I had just said. My eyes widened in panic. I covered my mouth with my shaking hand. I didn't mean," I stammered, stumbling off the desk. My legs were weak, but I forced them to move. I shouldn't have. I couldn't finish. Shame burned inside me. I wanted to run. I wanted to disappear. But before I could reach the door, Damien's strong hand caught my wrist. "Wait." I gasped as he pulled me back gently but firmly. My body spun into his chest, his arms wrapped around my waist, holding me close. I froze. Our bodies pressed together. His scent surrounded me, strong and familiar. My breath caught in my throat. I looked up. His eyes were on me, dark, intense. They held a storm of emotions I couldn't read. For a long moment we just stood there, staring, breathing the same air. My lips parted slightly. His gaze dropped for a second, rose again, locking onto mine. My heart hammered so loudly I thought he could hear it. Heat rose to my cheeks. My whole body trembled, not from fear, but from something I didn't want to name. The world faded. There was no sound, no movement, nothing but us. And then the door opened. I jumped back slightly, my heart leaping to my throat. Standing at the door was Molly, her eyes wide, her face frozen in shock. And the moment shattered Damien's POV. I smiled at Molly as I was burning inside. I can't show my true emotions, I could only pretend as usual. I grabbed Ava's waist and pulled her closer, locking her body to mine. Her body tensed. From the way she looked at me, I could tell how tense she was. Her gaze was fixed on me. I could see her confused, scared, or maybe hopeful. I smirked and then turned to Molly, who looked like she could kill someone with her stare. "Can you believe this?" I said, my voice low but sharp. She actually confessed that she loved me, just days before our wedding. I hated myself more every time I hurt her, but I could help it. I saw the pain in her eyes as I let out those words. Her lips parted as if she wanted to defend herself, but she stopped. She looked at me with a pale face. Her energy drained. Molly gasped loudly. Shock and fury colored her features as she whipped her head toward Ava. "You!" Her voice shook with anger. "How dare you?" She lunged forward, her hand rising in the air, ready to slap Ava across the face. But I caught her wrist before it landed. "Don't," I said firmly. "Don't get your hands dirty with a girl like her." Ava just stood there, frozen. She smirked in disbelief. She looked as if her spirit had been crushed totally. Molly stopped and then turned to me with her fake tears. "I can't do this anymore. I can't keep living in the same room as her. She has done nothing but try to ruin me. The only reason I tolerated her was because of you, but enough is enough." Her words were like stabbing knives that I couldn't avoid. I took in a deep breath and then called for Marcus, who rushed in almost immediately. "Throw her out," I ordered coldly, my eyes still fixed on Molly. "I don't ever want to see her near me, or near Molly, ever again." Ava gasped softly. The sound cut through me like a blade, but I didn't look at her. I couldn't. Molly smiled with victory. I hated her smile. She wrapped her arms around me tightly. "Thank you, Alpha," she whispered with a soft voice. But my eyes, they followed Ava. Marcus grabbed her softly, but she didn't resist or fight back. It was like she had no will to live. She only kept staring at me. Her eyes never left me, even for a second. This time, there was no pain in her eyes, no tears, just emptiness. And that breaks my heart more than I could explain. She looked drained, tired of this endless game between us. For the first time, she didn't argue. She didn't beg. She just let Marcus guide her toward the door. Even then, her eyes clung to mine until the very last second. When the door closed, sealing her away from me, the air in the room grew heavy. Molly still held on to me, but I felt nothing. No warmth, no comfort, just a suffocating weight. I released her grip gently and stepped back. "I'm tired," I said flatly. "I need to rest." Half her eyes flickered with disappointment. She reached for me again, trying to touch me, but I shook my head. "Not now, Molly. Please, just go." She bit her lip, clearly displeased, but after a moment she nodded reluctantly. "Fine, rest well, my love." She walked toward the door, her heels clicking against the floor. When she finally left, silence consumed the room. I sank into my seat, exhausted. My body felt heavy, but it wasn't my body that was tired. It was my mind, my heart. Her words echoed in me again. "I love you." The memory of her trembling voice, her wide eyes, her shaking lips, it all replayed in my head over and over. I closed my eyes, and suddenly, memories flashed through my mind. The forest. I could still smell the blood. My blood. The battle had nearly killed me. My body was broken, my breathing uneven. Every step I took felt like I was one step closer to death. I found a small rock, and I leaned against it. My vision slowly went blurry. I was losing consciousness, but then voices. Laughter. A soft sound, so out of place in that cruel forest. I turned my head and saw her. A girl. A girl. She was laughing and playing with another girl, and if I'm right, that should be her cousin. She ran around laughing and screaming until she stumbled upon my almost lifeless body. Her mouth opened to scream, but with the last of my strength, I lunged forward and clamped my hand over her lips. "Don't," I growled weakly. "Don't make a sound. If you do, I'll kill you." Her eyes widened with fear, her body shook beneath my grip. For a second, I thought she would run, leave me to die. And she did push me off, stumbling back in terror. She turned to flee, but then she stopped. Slowly, she turned around, her eyes softening despite her fear. She came back. I'll help you, she whispered. I wanted to laugh, to snarl, to push her away, but I was too weak. And before I could protest, she knelt beside me, her hands moving quickly. She knew the forest well. She plucked herbs, crushed leaves, pressed them against my wounds. Her fingers trembled, but her eyes shone with determination. She poured herself into every movement, her face filled with empathy. I stared at her, unable to understand. Why? Why would she help a stranger, an enemy? But she didn't stop. The world swam around me. My breathing grew worse. I could see the panic in her eyes as she pressed her hands harder against my wounds. Please, she whispered, don't die. Then the sound of voices calling her name filled the air. Her pack was searching for her. She froze, terror flashing across her face. If they found me, they would kill me instantly. She knew it. She turned to run again, but her eyes fell back on me. My chest heaved painfully. I knew I didn't have much time. She bit her lip, then made a choice. From her pocket, she pulled out a small pill, glowing faintly with something I didn't understand. She knelt beside me and pressed it to my lips. This, her voice broke. I made this with my heart's blood. I meant to use it for my cousin, but she got better. So now I'm giving it to you. Please, live. And before I could stop her, she forced the pill into my mouth. Warmth spread through me, searing but powerful. My body trembled, my vision fading. The last thing I saw was her face, determined and desperate, before she shifted into her wolf form and vanished into the forest. Then darkness. I woke later in the care of Marcus, my loyal beta. He told me I had been lucky, that the doctor found something strange in my system, something that fought death itself. Along with some herbs and first aid, it had saved me. Who was it, Alpha? Marcus asked. Whoever saved you, I swear I'll repay them with my life. But I only smiled faintly and looked out the window, because I knew it was her. My eyes opened again, dragging me back to the present. Another memory came, unbidden, her wolf form, weak, vulnerable, lying helplessly on the cold road after escaping Andrew's clutches. I had recognized her instantly. It's you, I whispered, lifting her broken body into my arms. She was so light, too light. My chest ached at the thought of what she had endured. I held her close, whispering softly, I don't know what you've been through, but I promise I will protect you. Back in my study, I placed my hand over my chest. The echo of her words still lingered there. This would be over soon. I promised myself that. I whispered it aloud. It will be over soon, I promise. But even as I said it, doubt clawed at me. I didn't know if I was lying to myself or to her. And then the door burst open. Marcus stood there, his face pale, his chest heaving as if he had run across the entire estate. Alpha, he said breathlessly, his eyes wide with panic. She's gone. I shot to my feet, my pulse pounding. What? Ava, he said. She's missing. Ava's POV. As Marcus dragged me out of the hall, my heart felt like it would shatter to pieces. Each step away from Damien tore at me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to fight, but I couldn't, not anymore. I was drained and exhausted. Everything was falling apart, and it was like I was holding on to something that had long been destroyed. Immediately, the door shut behind me. The atmosphere changed. Marcus released my arm and bowed to me respectfully. It was like something shifted in him, but I was too overwhelmed to even notice. Please follow me, my lady, he said softly. I barely even reacted. My thoughts were too preoccupied to even process Marcus' words. I just let my legs lead. My chest ached. My throat burned. My eyes stung, but I refused to cry in front of him. I was drained of all the energy in my body. Nothing seemed to matter anymore. I didn't care what he wanted to do with me. I just wanted to disappear. How? I whispered to myself, my lips barely moving. That's it. I'm done. He can marry her if he wants. Let him destroy himself. He can choose to marry who he wants. I'm tired of fighting for a love that can never be mine. The words broke me even more, but I forced them out. I needed to believe them. Marcus excused himself, saying he needed a few minutes. He told me to wait. I didn't wait. I couldn't. My legs moved on their own, carrying me through the halls until I found Michael. He laid on his bed, clutching his mattress softly. He looked as though he had been waiting for me. He smiled brightly the moment he saw me. His innocence always had a way of melting my heart. "Michael," I said, trying to steady my voice. "Pack your things. We're leaving today." He blinked, surprised. "We're leaving the mansion? For good?" "Yes," I whispered, nodding. My throat tightened as I said it. He frowned. His small voice shook as he asked, "But what about Alpha Damien? Don't you want to see him again?" His questions hurt like knives been stabbed to my heart. I really wasn't ready to hear his name now. Tears formed in my eyes, but I looked away quick before Michael noticed them. "He—" My voice broke, but I swallowed hard and continued. "He has already chosen the life he wants for himself, and it is not with me. I cannot fight anymore, Michael. I cannot hurt myself any longer. We are leaving, and we will never look back." The sadness in his eyes almost made me fall apart, but I held his hand and pulled him close. "It will be you and me," I whispered into his hair. "Only us. That's enough." He nodded slowly, though I knew he didn't truly understand, but he trusted me. He always did. That trust felt heavier than chains. We packed quickly, my hands trembling as I folded his small clothes and stuffed them into a bag. Every sound in the mansion felt like danger, like time was running out. Then we left, step by step, walking away from the place that had given me pain and fleeting moments of hope. But fate was cruel. Not long after we slipped out, I saw Damien's men scattered on the street, searching frantically. My chest tightened. They were looking for me. I panicked, confused. I grabbed Michael's hands tightly and ran as fast as we could. My heart pounded in fear. The mansion guard ran around, shouting as they desperately looked for me. We stayed still, waiting for them to pass. Then I heard a soft sound, a thud. I turned quickly. Michael had collapsed on the ground. His little body was limp. His eyes were closed. "Michael!" I cried in a whisper, shaking him. "Wake up, please, wake up!" Before I could understand what had happened, I felt it. A sharp pain at the back of my neck, heavy and cruel. My vision blurred. My body went weak. "No," I whispered as the darkness swallowed me. My fingers clawed at the ground, but I couldn't hold on. I felt myself being dragged. My shoe slipped off, left behind on the street. I tried to fight, but I was gone. Everything went black. Damien's POV. The moment Marcus came running to me, pale and breathless, my heart dropped. His voice shook when he said the words that made my blood freeze. "My lord, Ava is missing." The ground seemed to vanish under my feet. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I simply moved. "Find her!" I roared, my voice breaking. "Search every corner, every street, Helena. Do not come back without her." I ran with them, my chest heaving, my heart pounding like thunder. My eyes searched everywhere, desperate. I was going mad. She was gone. She was gone because I had pushed her away, because I had chosen to protect her by breaking her. And now she was lost. We scoured the streets. My men shouted her name, turning over every shadow. Then I saw it. A half-buried black shoe. I recognized it immediately. It was Ava's. My heart stopped for a second. I staggered. The shoe shook in my hands. I knew something was very wrong. "Ava," I whispered, my voice breaking. My vision blurred with tears. For the first time in years, I felt my knees give way. I fell onto the ground, clutching that shoe against my chest. My heart was screaming inside me. "I thought I was protecting you," I said, my voice raw, torn from my throat. "I thought keeping you away would keep you safe. But I was wrong. I was so wrong." The pain in my chest was unbearable. I couldn't breathe. My hands clenched tightly around the shoe, almost crushing it. "If you are hurt," I whispered, my tears falling freely, "I will never forgive myself." I lifted my head, my eyes burning with rage and fire. The world around me blurred, but one thought cut through like steel. Whoever touched her, whoever dared to take her. My voice shook with fury. "I will find them. I will tear them apart with my own hands. I will burn the world if I have to." I pressed my forehead against the shoe and closed my eyes. Then I rose to my feet, my face dark, my jaw clenched. The fire in me was alive. "No one comes back without Ava." I roared again. My men froze, then moved faster, their fear of me pushing them forward. I swore on my life. I swore on every drop of blood in me. I would find her. I would save her. Or I would die trying. Ava's POV. I felt extremely weak. I blinked, forcing my eyes to open. The air smelled of dust. The floor was cold and sandy. I gasped in pain. I tried moving, then I noticed I was tied. My eyes scanned the unfamiliar surroundings. Then my heart dropped. Michael. I saw him lying unconscious close to me. His hands were pale and his temperature was high, his breathing unsteady. I panicked. Michael, Michael, please wake up, I whispered desperately, trying to shake him with my shoulder. My voice broke into sobs as tears blurred my sight. Please, I need you to open your eyes. But he didn't move. He just lay there, silent and still. My chest raced in fear. I looked around me. There was no one in sight to call for help. My body was growing weaker, but it didn't stop me from shouting as loud as I could for help. Suddenly, I heard it. The sound of footsteps, then the groan of a heavy wooden door sliding open. A dim light entered the dark room, and with it came the person I dreaded most. Molly. She walked in with 2 men behind her, her steps calm and proud as if she owned the world. The sight of her smirk made bile rise in my throat. My voice shook with rage and exhaustion. Why won't you let me be? You already have what you wanted. You're marrying the alpha. Why are you still after me? Her smirk widened. She crossed her arms and tilted her head proudly. Because, Ava, you're still a threat. No matter how much Damien is around me, you will always be the shadow in his heart. And I don't like shadows. I don't share what belongs to me. Her words pierced me, but I kept my eyes on her. He chose you. You won. So why do you still care about me? She laughed, the sound cruel and cold. Because you're too late. You cannot protect him anymore. In fact, by now it's already over. My people are on their way to raid the palace. Everyone is too busy with the wedding. Damien's guards will be distracted. It's the perfect time. My blood turned to ice. Your people? Her eyes gleamed. Yes, I am from the Babylon pack. The pack your precious alpha calls his enemy. The pack you were too blind to see I belonged to. And by tonight his kingdom will fall. My breath hitched. Babylon. The stories I'd heard about them were filled with blood and horror. A pack that was banished, bloodthirsty, ruthless. And now, they were here. She crouched beside me, her face close to mine. I should kill you now, she whispered. But that would be too easy. No, I want you to suffer. I want you to feel every moment of pain before you die. She grabbed a fistful of my hair and yanked it back. I screamed, my scalp burning. Please, I begged through tears. If you have no mercy for me, at least have mercy on the child. I am pregnant. Don't kill my baby. Her eyes widened for a moment, then narrowed into suspicion. Pregnant? And who is the father? My heart pounded. I couldn't tell her the truth. If she knew it was Damien's child, she would kill me faster. So I forced the lie out. It's my ex-fiancé's. She froze, her eyes searching mine, then her lips parted in shock. Andrew? The name slipped from her lips, and my body stiffened. My head snapped up. How do you know, Andrew? For the first time, her confidence wavered. She looked away, then quickly smirked again, trying to hide her slip. That doesn't matter. But it did matter. Every nerve in my body told me so. What do you know about him? Who are you really, Molly? What's your mission? I pressed, my voice shaking with fury. Her smirk faltered. You know exactly who I am. You've known all along. I am here to destroy Damien, and I will succeed. You are nothing, Ava. You cannot stop me. I sent her a sharp glare. I would die before I let you hurt Damien. She laughed loudly. Her eyes were mocking me. You won't be leaving here alive, my dear. She pulled out a silver knife from the back of her dress. She came prepared. Silver knife and bullets was the most fatal weapon to werewolves. She raised the knife, ready to attack. I screamed and twisted her hand before she could hurt me. I jumped at her, fighting back desperately as my life depends on it. Her strength was brutal, but adrenaline pushed me harder. In the chaos, her claws ripped across my back, tearing my dress. I cried out in pain, but then her eyes went wide. She froze, her gaze locked on my back, on the skin that was now exposed. I didn't understand until she whispered, her voice trembling, "It's you." My chest heaved as I turned my head slightly. What? But she didn't answer. I could see shock and fear in her eyes. My eyes narrowed in confusion as she stumbled backward as if she had just seen a ghost. I saw her distraction as my chance. I pushed her with the last bit of strength I could force out. My push sent her flying as she crashed into a pile of woods, causing a loud crash sound. I rushed to Michael quickly, untie him, carried him into my arms. But before I could escape, 2 men rushed in and dragged me down. I tried to fight back, but I was no match for their strength. They held me down as Molly staggered to her feet, her hair wild, her eyes filled with disbelief. She smirked, though her voice shook. I can't believe it. I can't believe you are the one. My brows furrowed. What are you talking about? Her smirk turned to a snarl. If that's the case, then I cannot wait any longer. I would rather have you dead right now. She drew out her claws and aimed straight at me. I could see her target was on my chest. I screamed, but before she could reach me, I heard a loud gunshot in the air, and then I saw Molly had been hit. Molly's body jerked violently, and she collapsed onto the floor. I froze, my chest heaving, my ears ringing from the sound. Then I saw him. A shadow stepped into the light. Strong. Fierce. His presence filled the room. Damien. My heart broke all over again at the sight of him. His men rushed past him, seizing Molly as she tried to crawl away. She screamed, but they pinned her down. Damien walked toward me, his eyes blazing. His voice was sharp, filled with venom. You imposter. Your game ends today. I blinked in confusion, my heart racing. What was he talking about? But before I could speak, he was kneeling beside me, his hand brushing my face with surprising gentleness. His eyes softened as he looked at me. Ava, are you hurt? Tears streamed down my cheeks. I wanted to speak, but my voice broke. His gaze hardened again as he stood and turned to Molly. His hand shot out, gripping her neck with such force that her screams were cut off. How dare you touch what's mine? His voice was a growl, filled with rage. Every pain she has suffered because of you, I will return to you tenfold. His eyes burned with fire as he pressed harder. Molly choked, her eyes bulging, blood dripping from her mouth. Thanks to you, Damien spat. I flushed out all the traitors in my territory, and now I will take out the root. Your Babylon pack will be nothing but ashes. Molly's face twisted in shock. I knew all along you were fake, Damien continued, his voice like steel. I only played along to see who was behind you. I let you think you won. I let you believe I wanted you. And now you've given me all the proof I need. The Babylon pack has fallen into my trap. Molly's eyes widened. Then she laughed weakly, her voice hoarse. Kill me if you want, Damien, she hissed. But even if you do, you can never be with Ava. You don't know who she really is. Damien froze, his grip still on her neck. His brows furrowed as he looked at her. What do you mean? Molly laughed harder, her voice echoing in the room. You would never imagine the secret under your own roof, the truth you've been blind to all this time. My heart skipped. Confusion filled me as I looked from Damien to Molly. Molly smirked, blood dripping from her lips. Ava is... Her voice cracked into cruel laughter. I still remember the sound of her laugh cutting through the air, even as she struggled to breathe. She had little energy to fight against Damien, who held her neck tightly, refusing to let go. Watching you so clueless is priceless, she said. I will let you stay clueless, wondering what could go wrong if you decided to be together. That would be fun. Damien tightened his grip on her neck. I saw the way his fingers pressed into her skin. His jaw worked. His face went red. He was about to kill her. Then a sharp pain stabbed my belly. It came without warning, hot and sudden. My hand flew to my stomach. Warm blood rushed down my legs. My legs went weak. Michael was already awake. He had been groggy, but he saw me first. He saw my hands, which were stained with blood. His eyes grew wide. He shouted, Ava! Ava! Damien let go of Molly. His head snapped to me. The world moved slow for a moment. He dropped to his knees beside me. Panic tore into his voice. Ava, what is it? Talk to me. I could not speak. The pain bit deeper. Tears burned my eyes. I felt very small. I felt very scared. Damien scooped me up like I was fragile glass. He held me close to his chest. His arms were shaking. He murmured my name like a prayer. I will not let anything happen to you, he said. I will not let you lose this baby. I will protect you, I swear. For a second, the sound of his voice steadied me. It felt warm. It felt safe. Then I remembered everything. Every cut. Every lie. Every night I begged him to trust me. Every time he laughed at my fear. Molly in the chaos found a crack and ran. She melted into the shadows and vanished. No one stopped her. No one chased her. Damien did not care. He only held me. He ran toward the doors. His men scrambled behind him. Michael followed, wild with worry. The room spun around us. At the hospital, the fluorescent lights were too bright. They smelled like bleach and cold coffee. Nurses moved fast. Their hands were efficient. They took my blood. They checked my pulse. They listened to my breathing. The doctor looked tired. He had soft eyes, but his voice was blunt. The baby is fine. She's suffering from stress, he said. She looks malnourished for a pregnant woman. She needs rest. She needs food. Keep her calm. Monitor the bleeding. Damien's face fell into a shape I had seen before. He looked like a man who had been caught in his own mistakes. He sat close to me. He would not let go. The doctor left us with a polite warning. "Take better care of your wife," he said. Wife. The doctor's words ran in my head. But before I could correct him, he left. After he was gone, silence folded over the two of us. It was a thick silence. Damien's hands fumbled with the blanket. He seemed smaller than before. He did not look like the king I had once imagined. He looked like a man who had been surprised by his own feelings. Damien stood up, about to leave, but I couldn't let him. "Why did you do it?" I asked softly with a shaky voice. I forced a laugh, but it came out brittle. "I almost died," I said. Laughter shook the edges of my voice. Not once, not twice, not thrice. The laugh had no joy in it, only sorrow and intense pain. Damien looked at me like he had been punched. Pain showed in his eyes. He rubbed his forehead. "I gave strict warnings," he said. "I told them not to touch you. I told them to follow orders. I did everything." "You gave warnings," I mocked. "I wanted to protect you," Damien whispered. I smirked in disbelief. I have so much to say, but my heart was too heavy to release those words. He stared at me quietly. "You must have been laughing at me nonstop," I said. "When I was pleading with you to believe me, I wonder how much fun that must have been for you to watch, knowing I was the real Molly all along." I pressed my fingers to my belly. My chest felt raw. The thought of the child inside me made my hands tremble. I had been protecting Damien, that I forgot to protect what matters the most. My child. I was too busy clinging to the idea that my child should have a father. "I could have lost my child today," I said. The words were small. They fell like pebbles, but they hit the ground with weight. That thought woke me up. It made me see my own foolishness. I was so busy shielding you that I forgot to shield myself. I forgot to protect my child. Damien's face crumpled. He moved closer, but I stepped back. The space between us felt like an ocean. "I stayed to protect you," I whispered. "I gave up so much to stand in your shadow." He swallowed hard. His throat bobbed. His voice came out low. "I was trying to flush out traitors. I thought I needed to be strong." "Wow, a true alpha," I mocked. The word landed without flourish. "It was simple and true. You were thinking about your kingdom, and you totally forgot about your friends." His eyes stung. He sank into a chair. For the first time, I saw regret live on his face. It was soft and very human. "I was wrong," he said. His voice was cracked like old wood. "I was cruel. I thought I could control everything." Control. That word cut deeper than any blade. He had controlled my nights with suspicion. He had controlled my life with silence. I stood up. My legs felt weak, but my heart felt steadier. I moved toward the door. Air flowed past me like a new promise. I had thought leaving was impossible. Now it felt like the only honest thing I could do. Damien's voice came from behind me. It was small. "Don't go." I paused. The word hung in the air. It held so much hope and so much selfishness. I looked at him. He looked like a man whose world had cracked. His hands trembled. His eyes searched mine, desperate and raw. For a moment, I almost turned back. I almost let my feet take me back into his arms. The baby's soft kicks answered in my belly like a small drum. I thought of a life that could be safe if he changed. I thought of the nights when his hands had been gentle. I remembered the times when I had believed in us. But I also remembered the nights I cried alone. I remembered the times I begged for truth and got lies. I remembered the names called, the whispers of spy, the coldness that lived under his smiles. I remembered the merciless tortures. If that was of protecting me, then I would rather leave. The door closed behind me with a soft click. The sound was small and final. My heart ached like someone had taken a piece of it and walked off with it. Outside, the air felt thin and new. It smelled of rain and smoke and the city's tired breath. I walked slowly. Each step fell heavy but sure. I did not look back. I felt his presence pull like a rope tugging at the back of my shirt. But I kept walking. I had made a choice. I would not be his shadow anymore. I would not be the quiet woman who lived in the cracks of his kingdom. Tears slid down my face. They were not loud, they were honest. I pressed my hand to my belly. My fingers felt the soft thump of life. The baby moved. It was small and stubborn. It reminded me that there was something I would always protect. Not for him. Not for anyone else. For my child. For myself. As the city swallowed me, a strange calm wrapped me. The fear had not left. Just walked around aimlessly with Michael. At least Michael chose to stay with me. I walked down the road aimlessly. My chest heaved with pain. It hurts to be far from him, but I knew I needed to be. Just then, I saw someone I thought I wouldn't be seeing in a while. It was Agnes, my cousin, the one who slept with my fiancé. But before I could avoid her, she called out to me, approaching me with a fake welcoming smile. But something told me this was not a good invite. I froze the moment my eyes caught her. Agnes, my cousin, the same cousin who was banished from the pack, the same cousin who had once stabbed me in the heart in the most painful way possible. For a second I thought I was seeing wrong. My chest grew heavy, my lips trembled, but no words came. My feet stayed glued to the ground. She looked different, but her eyes were the same. Those familiar, soft brown eyes that once smiled with me and then turned cold when she betrayed me. "Ava," she called, her voice filled with shock and a kind of excitement I could not understand. She rushed forward before I could turn away. "Oh my goddess, is it really you?" Her face lit up like she had seen a long-lost sister. She grabbed my arm as though she feared I would vanish. I smirked and slowly pulled my arm back. My eyes held no warmth. "I see you're still alive," I said, ignoring her question. My voice was sharp but calm. Her smile shook, but she still tried to keep it. "Ava, I wanted to say I'm sorry." I raised a brow but kept walking. She followed, her steps quick, her voice desperate. "I didn't mean for things to turn out that way. I didn't plan to sleep with him." Her voice broke. "Andrew, he wouldn't stop. He kept pestering me. He said he loved me. He wouldn't leave me alone until I fell too." I stopped walking and turned. The smirk that pulled at my lips was bitter, almost painful. "I don't care," I said flatly. "Whatever you and Andrew do with yourselves, it is none of my business. As long as you both stay away from me, you can do whatever you please." Her eyes watered, but she refused to stop. She kept walking by my side. Her words poured out like a broken dam. "Ava, please, he has been asking me to marry him. Andrew wants me to be his wife." She bit her lip nervously. "But I can't do it without you. You're my cousin. I want your blessing. Please, I want you to be my bridesmaid." I froze. My breath hitched in my chest. My fingers curled into fists at my sides. I stared at her in disbelief, but her face was serious. "I'm banished," I whispered, my voice raw with frustration. "Did you forget? I was cast out. I cannot go back." Her face twisted with guilt, but still she pressed on. Please, Ava. It would mean the world to me if you were there. I don't want to marry him without you beside me." I forced a laugh, but it came out broken. "Congratulations on your wedding, Agnes. I wish you all the best." I turned away, my heart burning. My feet dragged against the ground, but she followed still. She started talking about how Andrew had been spoiling her. The places he had taken her, the clothes, the jewels, the way he treated her like a queen. Her words dripped with pride, but beneath it all I could hear it. Guilt. "But," she added, her voice dropping, "I feel sad because you're not there to enjoy it too." That was it. My nails dug into my palm, my fists clenched so hard that they shook. I turned to her, my voice rising, sharp like a blade. "What are you proud of?" I demanded. My voice cracked. "Marrying a wolf like Andrew? Do you think you won anything? If he could cheat on me with you, then he can cheat on you with someone else. Don't celebrate too soon." Her face fell. The smile she had been forcing crumbled into ash. Without another word, I took Michael's hand. His warmth steadied me. Together, we turned and walked away. But Agnes's anger lit in her eyes. She clenched her fists. The soft guilt on her face vanished, replaced with something dark. She rushed toward me. At first, it looked like she wanted to talk, but then her hand shoved hard against me. I gasped. My body tilted backward. My feet stumbled against the dirt. My balance gave way. The world tilted. Then a strong arm wrapped around me, firm, steady, familiar. My breath caught in my throat. My heart skipped. I looked up, and my world froze. Damien, his face was close, his jaw sharp, his eyes deep, filled with something raw and burning. His aura wrapped around me, heavy and powerful, the same aura that had once made me tremble in fear, now leaving me speechless. We stared at each other. The world went quiet. My chest rose and fell quickly, and I could hear his breath against my cheek. Agnes's voice broke the moment. "Oh my goddess, Ava! I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." She ran toward us with fake concern painted across her face. But Damien's hand rose, strong and commanding. He didn't even look at her. "Stop," he ordered. His voice was deep, sharp enough to slice through air. Agnes froze in place. Without hesitation, Damien scooped me up into his arms. My heart thudded wildly against my ribs. His chest was solid, warm, steady. My body betrayed me. I couldn't fight it. I just stared at him, at his bold, handsome face, at the lips that whispered power and promise, at the strength that poured from him like fire. Every part of me trembled. The journey back to the mansion was silent, the kind of silence that carried 1,000 unspoken words. Michael trailed behind, his eyes heavy with frustration. I could hear the soft sighs leaving him, but no one spoke. When we arrived, Damien surprised me. He stopped, opened the door for me. His movements were gentle. His gaze was soft. My chest twisted in confusion. This was not the Damien I knew. Still, I wasn't ready to forgive him. I walked inside without a word. When we reached my room, he stopped me again. "Ava," he began, his voice low, almost pleading. But I couldn't bear to hear it. I walked inside and slammed the door. The sound echoed like thunder. My body collapsed on the bed. My chest was heavy. My breath came out uneven. Michael dropped beside me, his shoulders falling with exhaustion. "We're back here again," he muttered, half to himself. His voice was tired. I turned to him slowly, my eyes searching his. "Why don't you just confess your feelings for the Alpha?" he asked bluntly. "Then maybe we can all live peacefully." His words struck me like lightning. My breath stopped. I stared at him, shocked. "Michael, don't look at me like that," he said firmly, his young voice carrying surprising strength. "I know you love him. You're trying to protect him. But now that the danger is gone, shouldn't you be happy with him?" My lips trembled. My chest ached. I wanted to speak, but my throat tightened. I reached out instead, brushing my fingers through his hair. A soft smile tugged at my lips, though my heart was heavy. "You're still a kid," I whispered. "You won't understand." He frowned, but he didn't argue. He leaned into my touch, and for a moment, the room felt calm. The night fell quickly, covering us both in silence. But just as sleep was about to take me, the sound of glass shattering ripped through the quiet. Michael jumped. My heart slammed in my chest. The window burst open. A dark shadow slipped inside. And before I could even scream, cold fingers wrapped around my neck.